Not much.
Oh, okay, I rushed through that? That's all right. I'm just gonna go again. I will have time to just, I gotta take.
I think it would be fine if you put it on the desk. I don't think.
We have an elevator, you know. Okay.
Do you have something to rest your foot on?
And I think we're live.
Okay, thank you. I hereby call to order the June 24th, 2025 closed session meeting of the City Council at 5:14. Madam City Clerk, may we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Francois,
Here.
Councilmember Keegan,
Here.
Councilmember Jackson,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Detoy,
Here.
Mayor Seaman.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, do we have anyone for public comment in person or on Zoom?
We do not have any speaker cards for closed session, and we do not have any virtual hands raised.
All right, then I will recess to the closed session. Thank you. Wait, this doesn't. Hey, you said
It's
gavel.
on. It's not very loud.
Hey, that was 3 raps, and I'm serious now. Can we come to order, please? Thank you all. Thank you very much for being here this evening. I would like to call the order the June 24th, 2025 regular City Council meeting at 6:17. I have the Pledge of Allegiance. Dean Francois, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Be happy to.
In your excuse, I'm standing up. How are you going to do that?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation,
under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, can we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Francois,
Here.
Councilmember Keegan.
Here.
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Detoy.
Here.
Mayor Seaman.
Here.
I have a quorum.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, can you please provide us with a closed session report?
Of course, Mr. Mayor and Council, as you know, the Council met earlier this evening in closed session to discuss the items identified on the agenda. No action was taken that needs to be reported under the Brown Act. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is announcements and upcoming city events. Do any of my colleagues have announcements?
I do.
Yes, please, go ahead.
This coming Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m., I will be scheduling another community forum, council member community forum, right here in the council chambers, and light refreshments will be served. Thank you. Everyone's welcome to come and provide their feedback, unlimited time, talk about any issues you'd like to regarding city business.
Great. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Any other announcements? Well, I have a few. Shakespeare by the Sea will once again host free community theatrical renditions of classic Shakespeare in Valley Park at 7 p.m. on July 9th and 10th. Wednesday, July 9th, will be a performance of As You Like It. And Thursday, July 10th, will be a performance of Julius Caesar. The community is invited to bring chairs and blankets to enjoy the presentations. For more information, please visit shakespearebythesea.org. All right, thank you so much. And now on to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Motion and second. Madam City Clerk, would you call the vote, please?
Voting is now open. Councilmember Keegan.
Aye.
Doesn't come up.
Nope, they're all, that's it. Good. Will you announce the results, please?
Motion carries unanimously.
Great, thank you so much. All right, on to proclamations, presentations, Leadership Hermosa Beach Class of 2025 presentation.
All right, hello. Which way am I pointing? Oh, there we go. There we go. All right, thank you to the City Council and welcome Interim City Manager Napolitano. I am honored to be here tonight. We already know how wonderful Hermosa Beach is, and tonight I'm going to give you a couple more reasons why to love it even more. My name is Nancy Dominguez, and I am the project manager for Leadership Hermosa Beach's class of 2025. Leadership Hermosa Beach is a nonprofit where we connect local leaders and we empower them by educating, training, and connecting them for the betterment of Hermosa Beach. Throughout the course of the year, our class is introduced to different aspects of the city, so basically city council, city staff, nonprofits, the school system, in order to learn how the city works. Each class picks a community project that improves the city, and the class of 2025 picked the Little Libraries project, which focused on literacy, creativity, and connection. There we go. I want to start off by thanking the dozen or so already existing little libraries throughout the community, as they were a source of inspiration. Our class goal was to install 8 little libraries in addition to the existing ones, and I'm proud to report that we installed 12 little libraries throughout our city, bringing a total to 28. Yes. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that a part of this was a part of our success was due to being able to launch our Little Library project at the St. Patrick's Day Parade. So thank you, City Council, for making it happen. Because it was really great as Rick Koenig was emceeing, and the community was seeing the little libraries carted down through Pier Avenue. It was just really great to see everyone excited and curious about what was to come with our project. So we had a lot of support from the beginning. Okay. All right. So with those 12 little libraries, they are all now registered, and they're part of a greater network of the Little Library Organization. So this organization already has over 200,000 little libraries worldwide, so now we're just adding on to it. The Little Libraries Organization, they have some really incredible data that supports how little libraries really bring communities together and how it makes neighbors more friendly and engaged with each other. You know, it was really interesting. As we were working on finishing the installation at the Gumtree, it was really great to see how this kind of became like this place where neighbors were coming together and people were catching up that haven't seen each other in a really long time. So it was really engaging in a really positive way. And for me, at least, it was like that aha moment where you're seeing the vision in action. So really seeing the community, it's like, okay, now like here it is. And how this one moment really led to like 8 different positive interactions. And this project is really for everyone. Like, we all know Matthew, and even Matthew gets to benefit from this project. So this project has been collaborative in every way. So a big thank you to Raphael McMaster at Indivisible Arts. I think there's no end to his talents. 8 of the 12 little libraries were done by his artists, so definitely go throughout town and check them out. They're all wonderful pieces of art. And we're also very appreciative of Learned Lumber and their generosity, and to all the philanthropic sponsors and stewards who generously donated their homes and their businesses to this project. Okay. So a fun fact for you guys. Did you know that our community donates over 50,000 books through the Hermosa Beach Friends of the Library? So the Friends of the Library have assured us that they're going to be keeping these little libraries stocked till Kingdom Come. And this is all through the generosity of our amazing community, and we're just getting started. Okay. And now for the promotional segment. Leadership Hermosa Beach is currently recruiting for the class of 2026. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been asked, what's in it for me? Why am I doing Leadership Hermosa Beach? And more often than not, my response has been, for me, it's been this like education of learning how the city works, how the city council works, how those decisions affect me as a resident, and being able to distill that information and share it with my neighbors who have families, jobs, life, and really making them more informed and engaged residents of Hermosa Beach. So if that's of any interest, I look forward to seeing you at a recruiting event. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there any questions from City Council to our presentation?
No questions. I just want to thank this year's class for Leadership Hermosa for stepping up and getting involved, learning about our community. This project's great. We always look for little free libraries around town, and getting more in the community is just going to be, amazing. So thank you very much.
Okay. I made a grave error that the Hermosa Beach Sister Cities Association would never forgive me for. So I did have an announcement to make, and I'd like to make it now. If you don't mind, please indulge with me. On July 26th, from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock at St. Cross Church, the Hermosa Beach Sister Cities Association will have their gala event. This is their main fundraiser for the year. They use this money to support Laredo, Mexico. It's a small town, a small coastal town in Mexico. There is a fire department, a home there for children, Casa Hogar, and about 1 million other things that they do just in general to supply the folks that live in this town with sometimes food, clothing, blankets, etc., and supply their fire department and supply the children that live in that orphanage. It's going to be called Carnival Magico. It's going to have magicians. It'll be a great magic show. If you've never been to one, please try and come to this event. It'll be great fun. You can find out more information if you go to the HB Hermosa Beach Sister Cities website. And it's, again, July 26th from 4 to 8 o'clock. Please try and attend. I'd appreciate it all. Thank you very much. Okay, and then, go ahead, you want to apply? I'll take it. Then next, we will go to the city manager's report. Mr. Napolitano, do you have something for us?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just two quick things. One is to remind everyone that fireworks are illegal in Hermosa Beach. They're also dangerous. Don't use them. We're going to have memos and email blasts and social media reminding everybody that fireworks are illegal. We've got great displays around us. You look to the south, Redondo Beach is going to have theirs. So don't do it. Their fines are up to $5,000 here if you get caught with them. So it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Everyone has a story as well, someone who's blown their hand off with them. So they're dangerous. They're illegal. You can be fined up to $5,000. Watch the fireworks at Redondo Beach from the beach here. The other item is Spectrum, Channel 8. That's been offline for a number of months now. Basically their equipment has degraded over the years, and we have worked with them to bring them back online, and they are scheduled. There's some stuff on there now, but it's still in kind of beta mode, and June 25th is going to be the time when it's really back and up functioning full time, and we'll have some new programming on there, and of course there'll be replays of the council meetings and other commission meetings. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. And now on to public comment. Madam City Clerk, do we have any public comment cards in person only?
Hi, Mayor. Yes, we do. And we have Jeff O., who is the first speaker for tonight.
Is it okay if we bunch this together? So sure. Okay. So,
Hi.
Jeff and Chloe, and if Yanni's Zoom gets out, we'll be here. We're going to keep it short for you guys because I know you've had a long, very Parks and Rec day. So I thought that it would be the perfect time to talk about the swimming pool some more. So as you know, on the Hermosa Beach Parks and Rec Master Plan, it identifies a swimming pool as the #1 most desired facility. As it turns out, in the 1990 Parks and Rec Master Plan, that it was identified as the city's greatest need. So this has been going on for decades and decades. Our petition has over 1,000 signatures. We're still clocking in more. Conversations are flying online and in city council chambers as you guys interview candidates. So the residents want this. It's proven. It's a vital facility that can save lives. Unlike, some other Parks and Rec facilities are great, but they don't all have that opportunity. We're here because the time is finally right. We have the right team and opportunities, and spaces are opening, and conversations with Redondo are happening about building a pool together. But we know that if we don't say something, if we don't get something moving as far as the residents are concerned, something with Parks and Rec, another 35 years could go by. So if it's okay, Chloe, if you could come up here, and Jeff, you can come up here too. You're going next. And everybody else who's here for the swimming pool, if you would stand up. So last month we came to you with record-holding swimmers and senior citizens sharing their point of view on the pool. And to begin tonight, I wanted to have speak someone who represents the future of Hermosa Beach, Chloe Hirsch, Hermosa Valley's outstanding 8th grader and student athlete.
Hello, City Council. My name is Chloe Hirsch. I'm 14 years old and I live in Hermosa Beach. I'm here today to ask you to consider building a public swimming pool as part of the Hermosa Beach Parks and Recreation Master Plan. In Hermosa, being a strong swimmer isn't just fun, it's necessary. Between surfing, junior lifeguards, and just hanging out at the beach, water is a huge part of our lives. But not everyone gets the chance to learn to swim, and that can be dangerous. A public pool would give everyone, especially kids and families, a safe place to learn and practice. I'm on a swim team, and swimming has taught me a lot about hard work and grit. I've spent hours trying to get my times down, pushing myself, but I'm lucky. A lot of swim teams in our area are full and can't find enough pool space. Building on that, it's even harder for individual people to schedule swim time in our surrounding community pools for personal use. Plus, swim teams and private lessons cost a lot. Not every family can afford that, and that's not fair when swimming is such an important life skill here. A city pool would open up opportunities for everyone. Swim lessons, team practices, jobs, especially for teams, fitness classes such as water aerobics and recreational swim, and a space for the whole community to come together. I think that's a really great way to invest our community's money on something that's a benefit to the whole community, keeps people safe, and brings Hermosa even closer. Thank you so much for your time and for considering a pool for all of us. Thank you.
Hello, City Council. My name is Jeff Ogan, and I just want to thank you for listening to us, and thank you, Tara, for championing this whole pool thing. And I kind of come at it from two different angles. From a personal standpoint, I've been swimming my whole life, and then I had a brain tumor in 2010, and they reconstructed the whole rehab program to help me get into the pool because I wanted to get back in there. So to me, selfishly, I look at a pool more like my zen, if you will. It doesn't have, I know we have the ocean right there, but I can't swim with the currents, etc. So I love a pool myself. But from a practical standpoint, I have two sons. One of them is a water polo player and a swimmer at Hermosa. And as many of you probably know, it's very hard to get pool time around the city, around this area really. And the gem of the area is the pool in El Segundo. And in the swimming, in the water world, you hear about it all the time. And so I would ask you to look at it as an opportunity that we have to create a like the gem of the South Bay, because we are really in need of a pool in the South Bay. Right now, everything we go to is out in Orange County because that's where all the pools are. But if we had a great one here, we really have a chance to do something special for the community, for sure. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to use the rest of my time now because I don't think Yanni made it. So I just wanted to say that, when people look at a pool, they think, oh my gosh, this is a problem. But I really think it's a solution. We want to pass a bond. A pool strengthens that message. You need new revenue streams. A pool can generate it more than other sports facilities. There's things you can do with a pool all day. The more creative thinkers can find a lot of ways to make this work for Hermosa. You want partnerships, public, private, or with cities like Redondo? Well, a pool opens those doors. And I'm going to say this again. It's like, look who we've got. I mean, if not now, when? We've got Michael Keegan and Michael DeToy and Steve Napolitano, who have helped Redondo, Riverside, and El Segundo build pools. Mayor Saman is a longtime Hermosa Beach contractor with the experience and connections to make this feasible. Councilman Jackson is now on the Coastal Commission. Like, that is one of the biggest hurdles for coastal cities, so he could help us navigate that. Councilman Francois has decades of budgeting experience. Councilman Keegan is a successful businessman and the founder of Beach City Swimming, so he can figure out how to make this a revenue stream. And then, as expressed earlier tonight, Parks and Rec, they want this project. Yanni Lang wants this project. We have, by the way, Craig Eisenberg, the swim guy. He lives in Hermosa Beach. He knows everybody connected to pools. He wants to get involved. And our new city manager, Steve Napolitano, he is known for solving impossible problems. So, like, let's give him this challenge. And it's not just you. It's us. It is us as well. So this city is full of CEOs and creatives and engineers and literal rocket scientists. So if Hermosa Beach has the brain trust to launch people to Mars, build global brands, and entertain the world, I think together we can build a pool in our beach town. So we're not asking you to fund it tonight. We're not asking you to find a location tonight. We are asking you just to take the first step to refer it to Parks and Rec, to launch a resident-led advisory committee, and assign it to City Manager Napolitano to start shaping a plan. But we will shoulder the effort. We are not abandoning you. We will do most of the work, but we need you, the dream team, to open the door. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, thank you very much. This is item number 14 on our agenda would be the city council member comments. I'm sorry, is there more?
Mayor, I do not have any other speaker cards for general public comment.
All right, great, thank you. So item 14A, updates from city council ad hoc subcommittees and standing committee delegates and alternates. Are there any such reports tonight?
That's it for public comment? You don't have any more public comment?
There is no other public comment.
No one on, okay. Okay, I thought we
Thank
jumped
you.
ahead. I'll just say that earlier today, I attended the,
Go ahead.
I'll wait till the people leave. So we're done with public comment, huh?
Yep.
Okay, wow. I'm shocked.
Go ahead.
Leadership's leaving.
So earlier today, I attended the Cerritos State of the City celebration, and it was a nice experience to attend other cities. We've opened ourselves a lot in inviting other cities to ours, and they've invited us as well, and that was a wonderful event to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Francois. If there are no other ad hoc subcommittees, updates? Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
I just want to highlight the event that I think all five of us would attend if we weren't on crutches. The release of the two sea lions today was a great success. The partnership with the Marine Mammal Center, and it was great to see them grab the junior guards who are already on the beach, show the kids the importance of taking care of our oceans and the success of reintroducing the wildlife out there. So I think all five of us would have been out there. I don't want to speak for the one on the end, but it was a great event, and looking forward to more of those in the other coastal cities.
Great, thank you.
We've had a busy day today.
We need more handicap access to these events.
You would have been right in style there with the little guys as they hopped out to the water.
Mayor, I wanted you to get a Moby mat out there for me.
Well, the mobile map was there.
Oh, was it there, huh?
Yeah.
It was really quite an event, and what a wonderful day to be there and see all those people there, especially the young people. You're right. Thank you for that, Councilman Detoy. All right, let's go on to this consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam City Clerk, would you call the vote, please?
We're doing,
Voting is now open. And motion carries unanimously.
Great. Thank you, Madam City Clerk. So on to number 16, public hearings. Madam City Clerk, would you like to announce that item?
Item 16A, Annual Staffing Vacancies Report, Assembly Bill 2561.
Good evening, City Council, and everyone else in attendance today. I'm Tiffany Nguyen, your HR manager, and for this public hearing, this item is regarding a vacancy report, vacancies and recruitment retention efforts by the city, and this is a requirement of Assembly Bill 2561, or AB 2561. So this bill was enacted as Government Code 35. It's not working. All right, Government Code 3502.3, and it just became effective this year, January 1st. And the bill requires public agencies to present the status of vacancies and recruitment and retention efforts at a public hearing at least once per fiscal year. And the intent of the bill is just to increase transparency in the public agencies and promote equitable employment opportunities. Oops. And a little bit of background on this bill. It came about because there has been what is characterized as a widespread issue regarding job vacancies, increasing job vacancies within public agencies, which has a significant impact on public sector service delivery. And high vacancy rates contribute to, increased workloads for those who are existing employees, and that eventually leads to lower morale, higher burnt out, and higher turnover rates. So there's a statewide interest in ensuring that public agencies are adequately staffed to support public service functions and service delivery. And a little more background on this, I think this is part of what, through the pandemic and coming out of the pandemic, there's been a trend, a labor market trend, where a lot of workers have either left the workforce or they took a step back to reconsider their career options. So not only in the public sector, but everywhere, there's been a widespread phenomenon called the Great Resignation. So where people are just, taking a step back during the pandemic and considering other options and what to do with their careers. And this had an impact on the public sector more than ever, and we're seeing a lot of vacancies in the public sector, and that's part of the reason why this bill was created. So in order to comply with AB 2561, the City of Hermosa Beach is required to take a few actions. The first is to report job vacancies, recruitment, and retention efforts at a public hearing at least once each fiscal year. And we also need to identify any necessary changes to policies, procedures, and recruitment activities that may lead to obstacles in the hiring process. We also need to provide recognized bargaining units with an opportunity to participate in the public hearing or ask any questions. And if the number of job vacancies within a single bargaining unit meets or exceeds 20% of the total number of authorized full-time positions for that bargaining unit, then there's an additional requirement for us to provide that bargaining unit the opportunity to request that we provide additional data and information and present it at the public hearing. And some of the data that they could request include total number of vacancies, the number of applicants for vacant positions, average time to fill vacancies, and opportunities to improve compensation and working conditions. And as far as our vacancies go, as of June 12th, that's the latest date that we have the data from before this report had to be submitted. The city of Hermosa Beach has a total of 151 full-time equivalent budgeted positions, and there are currently 9 vacancies. So we're sitting at about an overall vacancy rate of about 5.96%, so below 6%. So we're doing pretty well in terms of vacancies. And on the slide is a list of our current 9 vacancies and their statuses. So I'll let you take a look at that. All right, so this slide shows our vacancies by department. We generally have a pretty low vacancy rate in each department. As you can see, the highest percentage there is in our community resources department, but only because they have a relatively small number of full-time equivalent positions. So there's only 1 vacancy, but that caused the vacancy rate to be 12.5%. But overall, pretty low vacancies across all of our departments. And this chart is the vacancies by bargaining unit. So again, relatively pretty low. You may notice that in one group, we have a 25% vacancy rate, which meets that threshold of 20% where they could request us to present additional information at this hearing, which they did not, which is the Police Management Association. They only have 4 positions, and there's 1 vacancy right now, which is why the vacancy rate is 25%. And in terms of recruitment and retention efforts, I believe in the last few years, the city's done a lot of hard work and put a lot of hard work in and done a great job in our recruitment and retention efforts. In 2022, so this is when we were coming out of COVID, I think at that point, we had a vacancy rate of about 50%. So it was pretty high at the time. And we launched a Hermosa is Hiring campaign to help attract and retain top talent through highlighting the city's team culture and encouraging residents, locals, and others to apply. We did things like promoting our open vacancies. We also had implemented NeoGov, which is a central website for government jobs, a couple years before that. And we revamped all of our job advertisement templates and such. And we also implemented a sign-on bonus program to help attract and retain top talent, given the increased job seekers market and high inflation rates. We had to offer something that distinguishes us from other cities. So we also implemented a citywide sign-on bonus program. And we also offer professional development here. The city absolutely supports employees' professional development through tuition reimbursement and continuing education. Also, employee recognition and appreciation. We have programs that support employee recognition and appreciation, such as our merit pay program, instant bonus program, and employee appreciation events throughout the year. And we're always continually evaluating and trying to enhance our programs and processes as needed to help with recruitment and retention efforts. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Excuse me. Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the council to the staff? No? All right. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Open public comment is next. Madam City Clerk, do we have some cards?
We do not, but we do have a public comment.
Good evening, David Graythan, Hermosa Beach resident. I kind of like that this bill passed and that we are doing this. I don't know how much of a burden it is on staff to pull this together, but if this was done more than the minimum once a year, that might be helpful. It's good to know, that we're doing things to make up for the shortcomings through the hiring process, and it also might be good for people to help us to manage our expectations when we know we have some critical shortfalls as well. So that's another good thing. And another thing I like about this is that we highlight and often celebrate the arrival of new team members, but when people leave or key people, there's not always a forthcomingness to let that be known. So I think that anything that increases the accountability in the staffing area is a good thing for that, among other reasons. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Schwabpak. I saw an opening for lead special events and filming coordinator, and I believe that you guys have heard from members of the production community that Hermosa Beach is kind of a difficult place to do business. And then I also saw in the budget that there's budgeted revenue of like $70,000 from film permits and whatnot. And I'd like to suggest that maybe you reevaluate that position in the cost-benefit analysis. And I know, for an example, that the Community Development Department has vast need for somebody to help in getting the housing element. They need a project manager. I think it's a full-time job personally, from what I've reviewed of it. So maybe reconsider whether there are some positions that are currently being recruited that position might better be replaced with a different one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
If you're joining via Zoom, now is the time to raise your virtual hand if you'd like to speak on item 16A. And Mayor, we do not have any virtual hands raised.
Great, thank you. So do I have any discussion on this item? I'll go back to council now. Close the public comment. Back to council, any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we receive and file the fiscal year 24-25 annual employee vacancy report as required by AB 2561.
Second that.
And that's seconded. Madam City Clerk, would you take the vote, please?
Voting is now open.
And would you announce the vote, please?
Motion carries unanimously.
Great, thank you. All right, let's go on to 16B. Adoption of the fiscal year 2025-26 budget.
Thank you. No, Brandon, go ahead.
Good. Mayor, members of council, thank you very much. Today is a monumental day for those that are the finance and accounting geeks. It's budget adoption. It's our Super Bowl and Rose Bowl all wrapped into one. So Henry's here. We're very excited. So I have a very brief presentation to run through today with the intent to leave it open for public hearing comments and also council discussion and direction as we look to adopt our FY26 budget. Brief overview of what this budget contains at a very high level. Stable revenue projected over the next fiscal year with low to mid-single digit revenue growth across the line from property tax to sales tax. The good news is it is a balanced budget. It's a benefit that not many cities are able to stand behind. We have a balanced budget. That's an accumulation of wise fiscal decisions from this council and previous councils, hard dedicated staff looking for savings where it can be realized. So a balanced budget is nothing to take too lightly. Very important also is this budget reflects the continued investment in CIP. I think we saw through Joe's very robust CIP study session that the focus of the community and council continues to be maintaining our infrastructure. We have a large growing unfunded CIP need, so every dollar that we can invest in infrastructure today is a dollar saved in the future. And also we are maintaining healthy reserves. Our general fund reserves are projected to stay at the 20% level, again, which is about 4% higher than the industry recommended amount of 16%. And obviously we continue to look at revenue collection efforts to maximize minimizing our delinquencies and going after citation and fees where they're owed. So a few highlights I touched on briefly. Again, we have projected to program $33.9 million in CIP projects. This is about $18.5 million of carryover project funds from this current year and $15.4 million in brand new projects. So again, kudos to Joe and his team for continuing to deliver projects on time, on budget, and really knocking our CIP program out of the park. Again, as a reminder, $100,000 has been earmarked for citywide beautification. I'd like to reiterate, this is not programmed in any way. There will be subcommittee work and continued council and community discussion where these funds should go to, but there is an earmark for dedicated project work in this upcoming fiscal year. Lastly, $75K for 14th Street Beach restroom maintenance and rehab. Again, a long-standing CIP project that's been delayed due to cost constraints in prior years. Joe and his team are looking to do routine maintenance work to see if we can extend the useful life and also beautify this facility. And again, I will bring this up at any time I can. We're maintaining our 20% general fund reserve. So a few headwinds and tailwinds as we get into the next fiscal year. Again, just repeating some of the information from our last study session. Looming deficits projected in the out years. Again, I'll reiterate, in FY27 and FY28, the large outstanding unknown for our community is those LA County contracts coming down the pipeline. What those cost increases will be, what other service options we have, is something that staff is continuing to evaluate and starting now to prepare for those potential hits. We've heard rumors of up to 20% increases. It could be more. This is something that's going to have a significant impact on our ability to produce a balanced budget to you all every fiscal year. Obviously, there's always a possibility for potential economic downturn. As I mentioned in the previous session, we're lucky in a sense. Sales tax is a double-edged sword. In good boom times, it's a real great buffer for our city coffers when it comes to sales tax revenue. Luckily, property tax is our main revenue stream. So as the general economy declines and if business activity and sales tax is hit, we are somewhat insulated. But again, there are many second, third order effects of an economic downturn that could ultimately affect property tax, which is our biggest revenue driver. So we do keep tabs on the local and national economy as it does affect us here in Hermosa Beach. Again, as I mentioned before, we have about $160 million in unfunded CIP needs. That includes potential pier work, pavement work on an annual basis, streets, sidewalks, city facilities. This number continues to grow, and obviously, as you've seen, construction costs continue to rise. So these project costs, if not addressed soon, will continue to escalate. CalPERS performance and pension liabilities. Again, CalPERS has a rate of return rate of around 6.5%. As their portfolio underperforms that, that's mainly borne on the city side. So something that we're keeping an eye on as the stock market continues to be strong, CalPERS' real estate and equity portfolio continues to remain strong. That helps city finances and not have to pick up that cost of those unfunded pension liabilities. And lastly, talking about insurance, the rising cost of insurance is something that's affected individuals. It affects us here in the city. The cost of general liability, workers' comp premiums continue to rise. And obviously that increases the claim and litigation costs that we have to board. We do have a very strong risk management program that our risk management analyst, Marco Ponce, has put together. So those are huge efforts to maintain our ability to avoid some of these major claims and litigations. So enough of the bad news, some of the good news. I think, as I mentioned today, having a balanced budget is nothing to blink twice at. The council has been continually fiscally conservative and shown restraint in maintaining that we're budgeting conservatively, not overextending, getting ahead of our skis. So what that has meant is that we have healthy reserves and are presenting this a structurally balanced budget to you today. Again, another opportunity to present that we have our 20% general fund reserve. Our insurance fund balance is slightly above the council recommended amount of $3 million. But again, premium increases, one large insurance payout, that will drop below the $3 million. So it's a very precarious pot of money that we continue to make sure that we are at or near that $3 million buffer. And our OPEB, which is essentially mainly our unfunded healthcare retiree amounts, is currently 150% funded, so that's good news. And again, council has shown and the community has spoken that we want to continue to invest in our capital infrastructure. It's the streets, the sidewalks, the parks, the buildings that every community member experiences every day. So public safety, CIP have been our continued priority, and council has given that direction, and this budget also reflects that. This next chart, which you saw last workshop, is essentially where we think we're headed. Again, it's a crystal ball. Again, in 26, a balanced budget, but with looming potential increases at the county level and just general overall revenue not keeping pace with general expenditures, we are projecting a slight general fund deficit starting in year 27 and widening through 31. So again, in a nutshell, good news, as City Manager Steve Napolitano says, good news, but. The good news is balanced budget. The but is that widening gap. So as we mentioned before, we do have our proposed next steps. After tonight's budget adoption, we're not going away and coming back next year. We're starting to look at our revenues immediately. So I think what the recommendation is from staff is to reconvene the finance subcommittee as soon as possible, start talking about revenue options. And also expenditures also. I think nothing is off the table looking at efficiencies across the board. Again, this is just illustrative of some of the opportunities that we see that could have immediate impact. We do have a fee study that is almost finalized to present to council that could produce, essentially these are fees for charges. These aren't fines or penalties. Right now, there are certain fees that residents and tourists are paying that aren't fully recovering costs. So fees and charges is looking to fully recover costs. So there's some opportunity there for additional revenue. Parking citations, we're well below market, well below our South Bay neighbors, something to consider to look at also for council. Meter rates, something also to consider too. Dynamic pricing, raising rates across the board. Many options that we want to have a full, robust discussion on. And then lastly, the stormwater and lighting district subsidies. The general fund is subsidizing both of these, we'll call them special districts. It's been a historical practice since the districts were formed. Something to take a look at and maybe reconsider that this is a cost that should be borne by the direct ratepayer. So again, this is just a small offering of what the potential topics will be. But again, there will be a robust public discussion at these subcommittee meetings and subsequent council meetings. So with that, the recommendation, there's essentially 4 recommendations that we were looking for council action on after receiving public hearing. One is to approve the contracts that were listed in the staff report. Again, all those contracts, these aren't additional amounts above and beyond what we presented. They're already included in the budget. This is just an administrative procedure to get them approved rather than going one-off items in future meetings. Approving the preliminary budget as proposed. And as you recall, last meeting, at council's direction, we redirected $90,000 from the emergency action plan. We're going to look to do that in-house and look at our partner agencies to kind of do that effort internally. So that does free up $90,000 that we are recommending transferring to the CIP needs fund for future consideration or motion on the floor to direct that elsewhere. And lastly is to adopt the resolution solidifying and finalizing our FY26 budget as presented. So with that wraps up my presentation. Happy to have a full and robust discussion on this budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon, for that presentation. Appreciate it very much. Seems to be very thorough. Are there any questions of staff from council? I'll look to my left and right.
Go ahead.
No, don't fight, kids. There's plenty to go around. Councilmember Francois, would you like to go first?
Sure. Why not? So these departmental supplemental requests, we briefly went through them last time, and you did mention that there was one change to it. The $90,000 has been taken out to develop an EO, emergency operations plan, correct? Is there anything else in here that's been revised since this, or is this pretty much accurate the way it is?
Nothing has been changed. So yeah, the supplemental items less than 90K is the only thing that's
My
changed.
microphone was off. Yeah, that was the direction from council last time, so nothing's changed since then. You, of course, can provide additional direction tonight.
Right. I believe I wanted to make some motions to change, but I was told to wait till this meeting and not the last meeting. So that's where we're going with this. So if there are things in here that we may want to delete or change, this would be the time after we have received public participation, correct?
Yes, Councilor.
Yeah, okay. For example, if we didn't want to have the concert series banner up there and things like that, the question I still have is on the $50,000 to custom street name sign designs at traffic signals. If we didn't implement this, we would save $50,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
If we just kept everything the way it is?
Yep.
Or are there other expenses we would incur if we didn't spend the $50,000 to upgrade these name sign designs? I assume what we're doing here is coming up with a bunch of name signs that are consistent with a new design. Is that what this is for?
Yeah, Public Works Director,
Yeah,
Son
thank you.
can speak to this. It is about branding and about replacing old signs. And these are the signs that are at the intersections that have lights on them, not throughout the street. Joe?
Thank you, City Manager Napolitano. I think you summed it up pretty good. It's really just a beautification effort. It is adding the city branding and logo to signalized intersection signage for street signs only. Should council decide not to go forward with the supplemental, we simply wouldn't do it. And we would only continue to replace street signs as they age with the current standard that we have now.
So this is for design, not implementation.
So a very, very small portion would be for design. A majority of the cost is for fabrication. The installation would be done by city crews over a period of time.
So is it safe to say if we didn't spend that, we'd still be spending other money to replace the signs? Is that fair to say, that we're not just spending $50,000 of new money, we're implementing it into, is that safe to say then?
Right. Yes, all signs eventually fade and need to be replaced.
Right.
I can't tell you the regular frequency that needs to happen at. It's probably going to differ by location and exposure to elements. But yes, over time there would be some small maintenance costs that would be less than this amount. This would be a replacement likely in advance of its planned replacement schedule or over a period of time.
Okay, thank you. And the $99,840 for 41 monitors, it's extremely more than what you would expect to pay for monitors, and I think I generally asked about this, but I just want to clarify. If we were going to renovate City Hall, would it be better to wait on that, or are we in line to pick up these now? What's the status on that as far as those monitors go? Because they seem to be pricier than what we would be able to pay for.
So these are part of our IT replacement schedule. It's like our vehicles; they're on an annual replacement schedule. So these are the ones up for replacement this year. Some of them range from 3, 5+ years, so they're due for installation. Again, this is just the budget allocation. Obviously, we'll go out from competitive quotes. I think that what this is just an allocation to get authority to purchase the monitors. So they won't be exactly this price. It'll be a competitive bidding process for these items.
Right. All of these estimates are high just to cover any.
Correct.
What we expect.
Yeah.
Okay. So the same thing for $135,000 for the information technology. Again, if we're going to renovate City Hall, does it make sense to do that now, or would that be something we would hold off on?
This is for the servers?
Right.
So this one is pretty critical. So essentially, I think I mentioned before, is that a lot of our PD reporting system, our financial system, is self-hosted. So keeping these up and running is critical to maintain our data. Again, what happens with City Hall, I'm not a betting man, but if we were to do something or relocate, that could be multiple years in the making. So our IT team has identified these as critical now needs. That's why they're recommended for replacement this year.
Okay, and we have $310,000 for one new lift truck. So is this over what we really would expect to pay, or is that $310,000 what it would cost to replace a lift truck?
I'll let Public Works.
Thank you, Councilmember Francois. So currently, when we prepare the budget, we get estimates from vendors depending on availability for the make and model that we're looking for. Currently, we're seeing quotes under $300,000. It's about $280,000, $290,000 for the specific lift truck model that we want. We always ask for a little bit of contingency in there, given that pricing can change pretty rapidly by the time the funds are allocated. So there's potential it could be slightly cheaper, but we want to make sure that any other costs like delivery or taxes or other components related to it are included, so we don't have to come back for additional funds.
Staff tries to be very conservative in their budgeting, so they're going to go for high, and anything that's saved under that is going to go back into the general fund.
Right, got it, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Francois. Is there any other questions of staff? Yes.
Thank you. I know we have Brendan Tom Brady Walker here for the Super Bowl, so you may be able to answer this. If not, it'll be kind of a department head round robin, just kind of based on our conversation earlier about the vacancies. Have there been any increased staffing positions in this budget? Any of them decreased? How are the vacancies? You know, what are the short-term solutions? I know in planning quite a bit, or community development, we use outside services. What's the cost of contracting out for some of these services versus a fully employed, salaried person every day in the seat? You know, and then looking at the next year, I mean, optimistically, we're fully staffed, but what realistically are we going to be there?
So as Tiffany mentioned, our vacancy rate is quite low. Again, that can change at any moment. I think particularly so in the community development department. There is no proposal here to change the staffing model compared to what status quo is, but you've seen in multiple council items department coming back for supplemental services for plan checks. Again, that's to expedite service delivery. I think plan checks is one of the most highly sensitive, high in demand services requested by residents. So that's been the kind of the stopgap approach. I think with Steve on board now, is that something we're going to take a look at, is what is the ideal staffing model. So the direct answer to your question, there's no change in service model when it comes to staffing at the community development department here. And to your first question about staffing recommendations, so there are two minor changes of staffing as a whole in this proposed budget. One is an FT and admin services, my shop, of upgrading a part-time employee to a full-time status, mainly dealing with revenue collection efforts, but also the parking permit program, and then the $18,000 for an intern for police. So other than that, the staffing level remains flat. But again, the community development staffing is something that we're going to take a really hard look at, and not wait till next budget cycle to figure out what the ideal mix of contract staffing versus in-house recruiting should be moving forward.
Yeah, Councilman, just tag on to that. We have talked about this, and as you see on your agenda tonight, you're going to be approving some augmented services, and that's cost efficient for staff right now to do that. As far as community development goes, we did have a discussion earlier today, and I have had discussions with the community development director on what her needs are, and we have made available one of our management analysts to deal with a lot of the housing elements. So she's shaking her head, she's smiling because she's happy. So we moved some things around, and so we're going to have someone working on the housing element with the community development director without having to add any additional personnel at this time.
It's good to hear. I know we're doing the fee study right now. When we use the third-party folks for plans or public works, or I guess more planning, are the applicants, the folks that are building, are they paying full freight for those third-party services, or is it hitting the general fund and we're?
It depends on fee by fee, but I think just anecdotally, a lot of these fees haven't been raised in over 10, 15 years.
Okay.
So I think the general theme is that there's been subsidizing of services. Unlike a citation where it's a high amount to thwart certain types of behavior, a fee should be fully recovering the city costs. And I think you'll see in the report, we haven't finalized it yet, is a lot of development fees are being subsidized, obviously charging less to these residents and developers. However, that cost is essentially being borne by the rest of the general fund when these fees are subsidized.
Okay. And I have less of an issue when it's internal city staff, but when we're using these third parties as stopgaps, I truly believe that the applicants should be paying full freight for the third parties. So that's kind of my thought on that. Now, going back to the vacancy part, historically, in my 5 years on council, way we pay for these CIPs is through vacancies, and the good news of extra revenue versus the budget, lower expenses, et cetera. Now, something like roads, like we talked about at CIP study session, we need about $4 or $5 million, $6 million a year to increase our pavement index. So how do we get there in next year or the year moving forward to actually save up front for these reoccurring vital infrastructure improvements.
That's technically one of the biggest headwinds we're going to face, right? I think that historically, what we've done historically in Hermosa is being able to fund our CIP with mid-year cost savings. The major part of that was the vacancies. So will vacancies remain low into the near future? Possibly, but you bring up a good point, is there's compression there. What we've relied on is mid-year savings to fund CIP moving forward. So this is kind of this pay-as-you-go approach that's worked to date. But I think when you're talking about large future projects and then a paving amount that's not up to Joe's snuff, right? Well, what we should be funding, there's going to be a need to have a tough conversation soon about how do we find structural funding for ongoing CIP work and not rely on, we hope we save money in a given year.
And that's exactly why we want to reactivate the finance subcommittee so we can start on those conversations about revenue enhancements as well as expenditures and what we can reduce. But that's the idea, is to get deep dives into these things and bring back recommendations to council so that we can bring things up to date. As Brandon mentioned, we haven't had a fee study here, my understanding is, in quite a while. Typically, you want to do 3 to 5 years max and do it again and keep bringing it back, because as inflation increases, we're not capturing that difference.
And then, I'm not taking credit for this idea, but I'm going to ask this question to you, since you may have told me this. If we were to increase parking rate or parking meter costs, is there any way that we can earmark that for street improvements, sidewalk improvements, or, we increase $1, however that $1 is going to go to our street improvement fund or whatever?
If council makes that policy, then that's how it will be, yes.
Okay. Slide 4. I know we talked about it during the study session. It talks about the out years, 26, 27, and I think, I see a lot of familiar faces in this room, and hopefully there's new faces just tuned in on Tuesday night to the city council meetings, because we're so much fun. But I hope that we can get this message out that, there is a bunch of roads coming together in those years. Again, lifeguard, beaches and harbors, county fire services, and all of those have been artificially low for many, many years, except for county fire. That was a newer contract. But the way they're looking into the county level is different under this chief than the former chief. So can you just hit on it one more time for the 20,000 residents that are listening at home right now?
Hello, all 20,000 residents. I think what you're seeing is exactly that, is county, I wouldn't say it's been subsidizing, but they have cost increases also, right? Their cost of maintaining a large geographic region, sheriff's department, fire, public works, their costs are increasing, and they're going to look to increase costs through their customers, smaller agencies. So again, we expect quite a significant cost proposal. That's why staff is looking at all options of what we have available, what we can possibly do in-house, contract out. All options, absolutely all options are on the table when it comes to maintaining these services for the community.
Okay. And then something I mentioned during our check-in, and I was wrong in saying it because I guess we don't have any enterprise funds. So the street and lighting district is not an enterprise fund because it hasn't kept up with costs, or it was pre-Prop 218, so it's a little bit, we can't raise rates without going back to the voters?
Yeah, it's 218, you have to go back to the voters because of 1996, the passage of 218, and that's why we'd have to go out. It's basically frozen in time.
And how much, again, Tom Brady, I'm looking at you right now.
I think it was how much subsidy?
How much?
I think it's like $700K combined with both of them.
Yep. Between 700 and 800,000.
So between that plus the oil settlement bond payment, I mean, there's $1.5 million right there that we could be investing into our streets or parks or whatever. So, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of staff?
I have 2 more I just thought of.
Oh, boy.
That's what happens when I go first. I inquired earlier about the HB Cares program. We received a grant for $1 million. We've spent about half of it, and we have $500,000 left to use up by the end of September. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Right.
Do we have, who was reporting on that? I don't have that in front of me, but yes.
Yeah, okay.
Through September.
So is that shown in the budget anywhere, or how do we fund, are we funding this afterwards, or when that end of September comes along,
So
what
what-
happens to the HB Cares program?
What's going to happen is we're going to expend most of the grant through the end of this fiscal year and over the next few months. So there's not a dollar amount dedicated to the HB Cares program in the budget as presented. What will happen is if there's any leftover amount as we get through the fiscal year, it'll roll over mid-year. So there is no dedicated funding right now shown in the FY26 budget, but there will be an amendment. Let's just say there's $100,000 left over at the end of this fiscal year in a few days. We'll reappropriate that money. So the program is 100% grant funded, going away in September. Right now, there is not any general fund money dedicated to continuing the program past September. So we'll have to come back to council with a discussion of if and when we want to extend that program or direct staff to look for more grant funding. To short answer your question, there is no dedicated funding in the 26 budget for HB Cares.
With the recent measure that was passed by the county voters, there will be additional Homos dollars that hopefully we can apply for another grant. And
So we're going to be applying for that to be able to continue it in September, otherwise it will end.
Yes,
And we're not talking about budgeting anything now at this point.
not at this point. That would be a huge expense.
Okay. And then I had one more question on the supplemental requests. The intern that the police department wants to hire someone to work on outreach and assist with What the Fuzz events. I see a lot of personnel down there already. Is this an extra expense? The What the Fuzz events are no longer being funded by outside grants, so this is all our own money that's paying towards it. Is there a justification to hire someone else to do it when we already have the appearance of a lot of staff down there already working the event? So I don't know.
Right. Do you want to?
Yeah, it's to alleviate. So right now you do see sworn staff there at these events with community outreach. The intent of this intern is to offset some of that, the setup costs, the organization costs, which is being borne right now by more expensive staff, is offloading some of the more administrative tasks, the setup, the communication, the outreach to an intern. So that's the purpose of this request from the police department, is to offload a lot of the community outreach day-to-day admin work to an intern to free up mainly sworn staff to dedicate more towards the policing activities.
So apparently there's a workforce problem with the number of people that are being used for the What the Fuzz events, is that?
Well, the intent of the events is so the sworn personnel can mix and mingle with the community. And so this is set up, it's giving away the tchotchkes and whatever else we have there. And my understanding from talking with the PD department was that this is going to be the outer number. It's not going to be, not a guaranteed 18,000, that's the outer number. They're going to use them on an as-needed basis.
Okay, I mean, I guess an alternative is to use less sworn people at these events, and that would save also.
We've also got other staff from the city who are, again, at a higher salary that are being taken away from higher priority tasks.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. I did have one quick question. On post-budget adoption measures, reconvene the finance subcommittee. Can you remind me who's on that finance subcommittee?
We were hoping you were going to remind us.
I think my memory
I'm
was.
not sure I was even on council when that happened, when it was.
We'd have to look back to see who the last point is. Is it, okay?
I think the last two signees were Mayor Pro Tem Dutoy and Councilmember Jackson.
And Councilmember Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's the only question I had. Thank you. Anything else?
Quick question.
Yes.
You know, if you make me go second, I get another question. So,
No?
we got an email about the dial a taxi that is not going away, correct?
Correct.
Okay, the taxi vouchers. Are we looking at, I know for a while, the taxi service in the South Bay was a little bit lean and the wait times were a little bit long. Is there any other services out there through ride sharing apps, et cetera, that could also work?
So, yeah, I won't disclose exactly. I think what we're hashing at the city manager's office with the team there is looking at other options with other rideshare. I think Lyft has been a vendor that's been used in other nearby agencies where we are taking a look at that program. And once we solidify a plan, I think we'll be coming to council with what that program looks like too. We've heard the same issues, is that it's not as responsive as the normal rideshare apps are.
Now, that being said, there's still a technological barrier that I'll speak for my mom when she asked me to call a Lyft. So there's some difficulty with, actually getting the app. So I want to just make sure we're covering all of our bases because it is a phenomenal program for our residents who don't drive.
I hear you. My dad thought Facebook was assigned to him like a social security number, so I understand the.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate your report. Shall we move on to take it back from council to public comment? Madam City Clerk, do we have anyone both in person or in Zoom?
Yes, we have one speaker card from Nancy.
Hi again. Good evening. I'm here on behalf of the Greenwich Village Underground Association, representing property owners in this district on North Hermosa Avenue. As you consider the 25-26 budget, I request you consider the following. I sent each of you an email outlining the association's position and requests, along with photos of the district and the current budget, which shows a $341,000 shortfall in funding. We request City Council direct staff to accept a 15% rather than 20% contingency on construction costs and return a city administrative services line item to the budget. That would reduce the budget by $215,000, with some other previously identified savings would leave to a deficit of less than $100,000. The association has reached out to donors and believes it can make up a $100,000 deficit, with donors agreeing their previously paid funds will be non-refundable. However, that fund is not unlimited, and in fairness, we need the city to step up as well. Residents worked with the city since 2014 to try to form this district and encountered roadblock after roadblock. 6 years later, in October 2020, residents voted overwhelmingly in favor of the district. We deposited $250,000 with the city to pay upfront costs. Residents expected to receive those funds back. Over 4 years later, we were told the city was out of money and the district would fail. We raised more money, and with a lot of help and hard work from our team and Joe's team, we are almost to the finish line. We need to get the budget finalized, which may require a special council meeting. Contact the assessor by July 15th and have the bonds approved by City Council at its July 22nd meeting. If these things don't happen, we will face an additional at least 1 year of delay, probably dramatically increased costs, and the district may fail. No one wants that to happen. Joe will tell you for a lot of good reasons he would not be comfortable proceeding without a 20% contingency. I respect his opinion and am therefore asking, when you consider the budget, you look where you may have a reserve you can allocate to potential $115,000 in cost overruns. We also request you return to the budget a plug number line item of $100,000 intended to reimburse the city for staff time. Again, Joe and his team have been great for the roughly 10 months they've been engaged with this. City staff for the 10 years prior to that, not so much. This would be found money in the 25-26 budget, as it was not included in any revenue sources. We request instead of finding this money, you return it to the district budget. Prior city staff orchestrated a project design which is ridiculously difficult and led to massive cost overruns. Instead of leaving existing facilities in the driveway behind Strand Homes, the city required everything be moved to the adjoining bike path with vault vents in the median. The original budget contemplated a 3,000-foot straight line trench. Residents in the district should not alone have to bear the cost of the city's overreach and, frankly, lack of common sense. I believe you all support undergrounding utility poles, so I believe you think is a benefit to the city as a whole. So this is, I believe, something you can in good faith approve, even if it puts the city's budget at some risk. Thank you for your consideration of these requests and your service to the city.
Thank you.
24 seconds of additional.
Mr. Interim City Manager, this is a budget item, but this is not a noticed item that we can discuss tonight or make any movement on, or is that
I'll
correct?
defer to the city attorney about talking about, but no, it's mainly, I think, bring to your attention the idea that money is going to be needed to be set aside, but the question over the contingency is separate from that. It's the $100,000, and if there's a council contingency for something like that, if they want to set that aside to cover staff costs, then that decision, I believe, can be made tonight.
We can do that tonight, even though it's not noticed.
It's part of the budget. If
Part
you're
of the
setting aside, if you're simply saying that you're going to dedicate $100,000 to a council contingency, that would go towards this project and
that
cover
money would
staff
come-
costs.
That money would come from the general fund.
Yes. Let me ask, Joe, Joe, you want to come up? We had a discussion the other night with the board members of the undergrounding district, and we had this discussion, but as far as the $100,000 goes, it's a guesstimate as to what the staff input would be on this.
So currently, when the district was passed around 2020, there was an estimate that was prepared for roughly $4 million. Currently, the costs are coming in about $200,000 to $300,000 over that amount. When the district was formed, it was council's direction that the district would be responsible for all the costs. And should the costs come in higher than the bond issuance amount, we'd either reassess or the district would have to come out of pocket to pay for the overages. So right now, we are finalizing the numbers, but we believe the overage to be in the ballpark of $200,000 to $300,000 to be determined. There is a $100,000 line item the interim city manager highlighted that was set aside as part of that original bond issuance for city administrative costs. And this is to cover legal fees and staff time for the creation and the administration of the district. So creation of the district and oversight of the design and delivery through construction. So these are to help pay for those costs, which likely do not recover all the staff time that has gone into the project, given that it's been many years.
So the $100,000 that was set aside years ago would pay the staff time.
So there's actually no money set aside. It was a line item in the $4 million cost so that the district voted on. So should we award, what we would have to do is we would be coming to council, currently targeting July 22, for council to consider allowing staff to issue the bonds for the district and award a construction contract. When the bonds are issued, basically it's a loan and the district pays over a 20-year period to pay off those bonds. A line item of that $4 million bond fee was $100K that would be a reimbursement to the city for the staff time in attorney's fees and things like that went into the formation of the district. It comes off the top. It's not money that's set aside. It would be given to us once the bond proceeds are received by the city.
Has that money been spent at all already on staff time? No, has there been $100,000 worth of staff time already?
I anticipate it exceeds that amount and would continue to exceed it as we continue into construction.
Okay. And then now the costs are, the estimated cost, including contingency, is running around $300,000, $200,000 to $300,000 over budget, is that correct?
Correct. So we would either need to reassess the district, or which would basically require us to reject bids and go back out because we wouldn't have time to honor the bids that we've received. So we'd either have to reassess the district, or they would have to come out of pocket to pay that overage for us to advance to issuing the bonds.
And the district put up $300,000 money to start with to cover initial costs, which would have come out of the bond. But now if they use that money to pay for the overage, then they would not get that money back.
That's correct. They would have to come up with a new $200,000, $300,000. So they did front the money. It was always anticipated that once the bond proceeds come in,
Right.
we would pay back that $200,000 to $300,000.
Right.
This is now in addition to that, that they would have to come out of pocket if they don't wish to reassess the district.
Okay, so it's possible that the 300,000 that they put up in the beginning, which they're supposed to get back out of the bond, could cover the contingency, over the overage on the contingency, because they both seem to be about around 300,000. Is that correct?
Your Honor, I've been reminded by the city attorney that we need to focus on the budget, and basically the 100,000 would be a waiver.
Okay.
You'd waive.
So how do we resolve this tonight? You said we can move on this tonight.
I
How do
think
we
the
do that?
idea was to put it in front of you without the need to take any action necessarily tonight, because that action can be taken on the July 22nd meeting.
Which is in time for the bond and so on. We'd be okay with that.
Right. So we have to work very aggressively to meet that deadline to get on the August tax roll. There's a lot of work that needs to be done before the July 22 meeting.
All right.
It would be required that the district come out of pocket with those funds for us to continue to proceed towards the July 22nd meeting. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to recommend to City Council to issue the bonds.
All right, this is already underway and will come up in our July 22nd meeting, as you said?
Yes, unless we have an earlier meeting.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well then, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mayor, would you like to continue with public comment on Zoom?
Yes, please.
If you're joining the meeting by Zoom, now is the time to raise your virtual hand to provide comment on item 16B, adoption of fiscal year 2025-26. Now is the time to raise your virtual hand. And Mayor, we do not have any virtual hands raised on Zoom.
All right, thank you. David?
David Graythen, Hermosa Beach resident, also on the Public Works Commission. So I'm glad that you were clear with the attorney's advice that there's no commitment one way to the other. This undergrounding issue is pretty complex, and it's going to take a lot of consideration to what's the fair way to handle the situation if there is a need, possibility of general funds being used for that. So I appreciate that. So it's more for tonight a matter of how comfortable would you be approving this budget in light of that, among perhaps several risks that we have in the upcoming fiscal year. Just coincidentally, I was going to share something I observed in looking more closely at the budget since the last meeting. It's up, I believe, in the very front in the budget under a glance. It's got the general fund, and most of that is labor, whether it's direct labor or contract labor. I happen to notice that not for this fiscal year we're in now, but for the fiscal year that ended a year ago, 23-24, the actuals came in a few million below what was actually in the final approved budget. What I don't know is if that's a normal thing, and if it's because we tend to be conservative in laying out the budget, or if perhaps since labor is such a big component of that, we happen to have been understaffed and had a lot of vacancies, coincidentally tying it back to that earlier discussion. So I'm going to try to tie those things together. So if that is common for us to underspend in the general fund, you might take heart in that as you consider this item that came up tonight with respect to the undergrounding, and that of one among perhaps several risks that we have to take into consideration. And then, by the way, some people have spoken in the past about, well, we have too many consultants, or, look at the staff and that. It looked like that the expenditures for direct versus contract is roughly 2 to 1. I thought that was just interesting to know. And then I also noticed that there is a separate breakout under all those contract items, and I think that's great that breakout for that labor code is actually included prominently near each department's budget. So I really commend staff, whoever, that we have that significant category is so well delineated. And so it's there for people to see. There are some big expenses like police dispatch and fire and McCormick ambulance. And then there are these sort of intermediate things for the consultants, so to speak, and the others. And then there's a whole mess of real little items which I don't fully understand. So that's probably a little bit of some of the conventions we use as to how we book certain types of expenditures. But it was really really educational. I wanted to share that with you, and I'm done. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. No other public comment? Madam City Clerk, nobody on the, okay, we're good. Close public comment then and come back to council. Any comments, motions, or discussion on the budget? Yes, Councilman Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for all your hard work you and your team put into this balanced budget, maintaining our fiscal stability. Certainly not every city can say the same thing, so it's something we don't take for granted. So thank you to you and the team for all your hard work and in ensuring that we are financially stable. So appreciate that.
Thank you, yes. Councilman Detoy.
Just clarifying that the emergency operation, it's still in the budget, but that has been removed from what is being proposed tonight.
The idea to go forward with creating a plan.
Internally, not the
is
consultant.
Still the direction that we have, but it's not part of the budget. That 90,000 is not part of the
So
budget.
that has already been removed.
We moved the 90,000.
Right.
I just
And
want to
we'll look for grants or just do it all internally.
So with that, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to move staff recommendation to approve the contracts, approve the revisions to the preliminary budget as shown in the staff report, and approve the transfer of 90,000 from the general fund to the CIP fund for future CIP project needs, and adopt a resolution approving the 25-26 budget as presented in Exhibit A. I think I got them all.
That's it? You did? Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
And with
Moved and
that,
seconded.
I also just want to thank Brandon, Henry, your whole team.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Yes, Councilman.
I'd like to try and talk about an amendment. When we looked on that chart, there's a position missing from the city management office by one person, and that missing person is the deputy city manager role. And I'd like to remove that position from the budget permanently. And that would free up between $150,000 and $300,000 out of the budget. And we could allocate that for council's discretion to possibly be used in a special meeting to fix the problem with the district. So it's just something I wanted to see if you'd add that to the, as a friendly amendment to your motion.
I appreciate that, but as we go through the recruitment process for the permanent city manager, that is a salary savings position. We'll, come mid-year, we'll have the money to adjust because it sounds like we're not going to be hiring someone during this transition period. So we're going to have those vacancies anyways. If a new city manager comes in and either wants it or doesn't want it, we can make that adjustment then. But that money essentially is already a salary savings as we move through starting July 1.
Well, I can't support the motion without that amendment, so.
Could I ask, are you suggesting that it's in the budget for the deputy city manager position? I didn't think it was. I thought it was already taken out.
It has not been taken. I'm doing that now.
The position still exists, so it's in the budget, but it's vacant, so the money won't be spent on that until someone is hired, unless someone is hired.
So what does it take to remove that item budgeted for that position?
It would be by council direction.
Tonight?
The motion I just made.
Tonight?
Which we could do tonight.
Yes.
So the motion that, I wish you'd brought it
Amendment.
up sooner, because I didn't realize it was in there. So we can, tonight, remove that position and save that money immediately out of the budget.
If a majority of council wishes to do so.
Well, I agree with Councilmember Keegan. I listed a whole bunch of other ways to save money, and I was hoping to get a little more input from some others on it, because, before we talk about raising meter rates and everything else to create more revenue, I don't know, an intern for What the Fuzz and a banner over the street advertising our own concerts, I think those are wastes of money, but I'll start in with this, that I support Councilmember Keegan's position to eliminate that out of the budget.
Excuse me. I'll make a substitute motion to approve the staff recommendation with the $90,000 change and to add the removal of the deputy city manager position
Yeah,
and its benefits.
I'm sorry, are you done?
It's a substitute motion.
All right. And is there a second?
I'll second that,
All
yes.
right, now I have a question of clarity. By approving the budget tonight, leaving that position in place, does necessarily mean we're going to be hiring someone for that position?
Correct.
We're not going to go out and start looking for someone.
You can also revisit at the mid-year budget review.
In the mid-year budget review, we can always say, well, I think we need one now, and let's put the money back in and so on.
Well, the money's there currently, it's budgeted currently, it's just not being spent because the position is vacant.
But, hold on, but if we decided to eliminate it this evening, then that money would go back into the general fund.
Correct.
Okay, yes. Councilman.
Also, if we leave it in there and we hire a new manager, they can immediately hire a deputy manager without contacting you. If you leave it
That
in.
is the case?
Is that
I'm
true?
sorry, what was the question?
I
Get a
said
new
that,
city manager, can they hire a new deputy immediately without any approval from council?
At their,
you just said
at their
yes.
peril, but yes.
Say we check, city attorney, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that concerns me. If it was something different, leaving it in the budget
Okay.
and something we would approve, but I don't believe the city council can approve that position or not. New city manager could come in, or this existing interim city manager, I'm not sure if he could, but a new city
Yeah,
manager could
okay.
come in and
All right.
start recruiting for that
Do
position.
we vote on the substitute?
Mr. Mayor, if I could speak to the substitute motion, please.
Just one quick question. Do we vote on the substitute motion first?
Yes.
Please, go ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm bothered by the fact that we're having this discussion. The deputy city manager has been a critical position in this city. If you look at what the former deputy city manager did and all the titles that she wore and all the hats that she juggled, there was nothing but value added with that position. And oh, by the way, for those who like nostalgia, all the previous city managers have all said that we need a deputy city manager. So this isn't something that we just pulled out of thin air. And, you know, we are spending more time on this deputy city manager than we did on hiring our interim city manager, which is disconcerting. And the interim city manager turned off the hiring of the deputy city manager, despite the fact that there were months of recruiting, vetting, and then ultimately an offer was made. So and yes, we would never, just like we're not involved in who the city manager hires. So of course, the city manager would have that option to hire a deputy to his or her liking. As the interim city manager said when he came aboard and said, hey, I'm not going to hire this position, I'm going to leave it up to the incoming, the permanent city manager. Why are we hamstringing that person before they're even on board? Let him or her figure out what they want when they get on board, as opposed to, you know, us just saying, well, we're going to eliminate that position for whatever reason, which is nonsensical in my mind.
All right, thank you, sir. Madam City Clerk, would you call the vote on
I
the...
have another statement to say with regards to that. In the future, we could always reauthorize that position again with a new city manager. And it sounds like we are operating well without one, as we did before. So,
Councilman Francois.
you know, yes.
Thank you. I'm going to call the motion.
Well, okay, but I just wanted to
Call the
make that
substitute
point
motion.
because I think that
I know, I
supports
appreciate
my vote on this motion that sounds like we're kind of split on. So it's kind of important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Voting is now
City Manager,
open.
call the motion, please.
Yes, voting is now open.
This is the substitute motion.
That's correct.
Madam City Clerk, would you read the results?
Motion carries by a 3-2 vote with Mayor Pro Tem Detoy and Councilmember Jackson voting no.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on then to item 16C. Madam City Manager, would you announce the item, please?
I'll be city clerk. To adopt a resolution confirming the diagram and levying assessments for the Hermosa Beach Landscaping and Street Lighting District fiscal year 2025, 2026.
And the presentation will be given by Public Works Director Joe San Clemente.
Thank you, Mr. Interim City Manager, Mayor, Council. So we are here for the annual assessment of the Landscape and Lighting District levy. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so the district, as we had talked about a little bit earlier during Brandon's presentation, has been in operation for about 35 years now. It's currently locked in to bring about $41.50 per dwelling unit. We haven't been able to raise that rate since 1996 after Prop 218 got passed. So that does result in a bit of an operating gap. These funds are used for our street lighting and our landscape and median maintenance and operations. Each year, we are required to go through a 3-step process to assess this levy to the tax roll. In February, we had council order the engineer's report. The report was approved in May, and we're here tonight, which is the 3rd and final step, to conduct a public hearing before we seek approval to have this levied onto the tax roll. So absent a majority protest, city may levy this. This begins at the first of the month in July for the beginning of the fiscal year. And as I noted earlier, there is about a shortfall of about $415,000 currently that is filled with general fund to make up that gap. Staff is proposing a small budget in the FY 25-26, which has now just been approved, to conduct a feasibility study looking at the potential to increase those fees, which would require a new Prop 218 process and a ballot initiative as well. So the recommendation tonight is to conduct a public hearing regarding the levy, and also consider adopting a resolution confirming this levy for the upcoming fiscal year. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any questions of staff from council? None? No. All right. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. I'd like to open public comment now to all in person and in Zoom. Madam City Clerk.
Mayor, we did not receive any speaker cards on this item. Moving over to Zoom. If you are joining via Zoom and would like to provide comment on item 16C, now is the time to raise your virtual hand. And Mayor, we do not have any virtual hands raised.
Great, thank you. So I will close the public comment and move back to City Council. Any discussion or motion on this item?
Motion to approve staff recommendation on this resolution.
Second?
Second.
Second?
I thought you did.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Madam City Clerk, do you open the voting, please?
Voting is now open. Councilmember Jackson.
Would you announce the results, please?
Motion carries unanimously.
Great, thank you very much. The public hearing is closed. And we move on to item 16D.
Item 16D, approval of new 2025 special event, Mind Travel Live to Headphones Silent Piano Concert.
Okay, thank you. This public hearing is now open, and there'll be a staff report.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. Austin Deweese here, Special Events and Filming Coordinator. At its June 3rd, 2025 meeting, the Parks Commission held a public hearing and recommended City Council approval of one new special event onto the 2025 special events calendar.
Click down.
Thank you. The Mind Travel Foundation requests approval to hold Mind Travel Live to Headphones Silent Piano Concert on the South of the Pier on Tuesday, August 19th and Sunday, October 19th, 2025. The event would include a live silent piano concert in which the sound from the piano transmits to wireless headphones worn by participants, a meditation session, and an audience-driven question and answer session. The foundation would request a suggested donation of $25 for ages 12 and under, and a donation of ranging from $45 to $55 for ages 13 and up, depending on the time of registration to participate in the event. While this range would be suggested, the foundation would ultimately allow participation with a pay what you can option, allowing participation with a donation as little as $1. Each participant would be provided with a pair of wireless headphones to experience the live music transmitted from the piano, and the event producer anticipates up to 360 participants. Following the review of the event by the Commission at its June 3rd, 2025 meeting, the Foundation has also added an additional event component for participants who choose not to donate. Such participants may listen to pre-recorded music through headphones, receive a printed meditation script, and participate in the question and answer session. Additional event details are included in the Mind Travel Live to Headphone Silent Piano Concert Overview, Attachment 3. On the slide before you and within the event overview sheet attached to your staff report is the site map for the Mind Travel Live to Headphone Silent Piano Concert. The event producer would be required to ensure no emergency lifeguard access lanes are blocked. There would also be no fenced-in areas. Pursuant to the California Coastal Commission's guidelines for the exclusion of temporary events, the executive director of the Coastal Commission shall only exclude from coastal development permit requirements all temporary events except those which meet all of the following criteria: held between Memorial Day and Labor Day, occupies all or a portion of a sandy beach area, and involves a charge for general public admission or seating where no fee is currently charged for the same use of the area, not including booth or entry fees. The proposed Impact Level 2 special event meets all of the aforementioned criteria, as one of the requested event dates falls within the Memorial Day to Labor Day timeframe. The event would occupy a portion of a sandy beach area, and they would charge general public admission by way of donation to participate in the main event element. Therefore, if the event is approved, staff would require the event producer to work with the Coastal Commission to determine if a temporary event permit from the Coastal Commission would be required. This concludes my staff report. We have requested the event producer to be in attendance should the council have any questions, and staff is available to assist with questions as well. If the council recommends approval for the event would be added to the 2025 special events calendar.
Great. Thank you, Austin. I appreciate your report. Are there any questions from council to staff? Seeing none?
Mayor, we do have the Mind Travel with their virtual hand raise in case you wanted to hear from them.
I'm sorry, say again?
We did have the vendor with their virtual hand raised on Zoom available in case you
The
wanted to
applicant?
hear.
Yeah, I was going to ask that next. And he was here a little while ago. I saw him, but I guess he went home. Okay, but he is on Zoom. Seeing there's no questions from council, then I would like to have the applicant invited to come up and speak on the project on Zoom, please.
Hi there, my name is Erin, and I work with Murray Hittery on his team at Mind Travel. Murray wishes he could be here this evening, but he is actually performing on the beach in Huntington Beach this evening, so that's why he is not here. But I am happy to answer any questions that you have about the experience. We have performed Mind Travel on beaches and in parks all over the country, and we just really fell in love with the Hermosa Beach area and the Hermosa Beach community, and would really love to bring our experience there.
Great, thank you very much. Is there any questions of the applicant? Yes, Councilman Detoy.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Just confirming it is the same artist. It's not going to turn into, the special guest that will potentially cause a mob of someone uber famous. This is a low-key event that is exactly how it says, a mindful, mind travel silent piano concert.
That's correct. We only have the one artist. That's Murray. I don't know if you can see the image on the screen here, but that's him playing the piano. If you can see the photo, and this is no bait and switch. It's just Murray and the piano. And in case there were any questions about that, it's a sculpture of a grand piano with an electronic keyboard placed inside. So it's actually only weighs about 100 pounds and is assembled and disassembled on site. So everything is exactly how it appears.
Awesome, thank you.
So if it was going to be Elton John, you'd tell us, right?
Would absolutely tell you, yes.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right. If there's no other questions then, are there any questions? No. No? All right. Let's move. Is there a motion to approve this project?
There's no more public comment?
We've already done public comment. There's nobody left.
I don't think we've done public comment on this item.
I'm sorry, didn't we?
No, not yet.
Oh, pardon me. Let's go to public comment then. For all persons in person and in Zoom?
Mayor, we do not have any speaker cards for this item. If you're joining via Zoom, now is the time to raise your virtual hand to speak on item 16D. And we do not have any virtual hands raised.
Nope, no public comment. Okay, thank you. So now let's go to, is there a motion to approve? Motion at all? Do I have a motion?
So move.
So moved and seconded?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Madam City Clerk?
Voting is now open.
Would you announce the results, please?
Motion carries unanimously.
Great, thank you so much. All right, let's move on to municipal matters, number 17.
Item 17A, 3 appointments to the Parks, Recreation, and Community Resources Advisory Commission. This is related to the special meeting that you had earlier at 3 o'clock. City Council interviewed 8 applicants, 9 submitted their applications and resumes, but only 8 were interviewed. We did have one commissioner or current commissioner withdraw their application from consideration. That was Lauren Pizer-Maines. So at this time, we do have our tally sheets that we will pass out. We did print out 6 rounds in the event that council is not able to come to a majority vote with the first couple. So at this time, if there are no questions or public comment, we will move forward with the voting.
I'd also like to just clarify, we pick 3, and do we put them in the order in which we want them, 1, 2, 3?
So we
Or
don't
it-
do, we don't do like the ranked choice voting method. We
Okay.
just do until we have consensus or a majority that it requires a majority vote.
Okay.
All right?
If we did rank choice, wouldn't that be more efficient? I don't know.
Well, and I just want to clarify the method that we're using, so. Just pick 3, it doesn't matter.
So we pick-
You don't put your most favorite 1, 2, and 3 in that order. Got it, okay, yeah. Okay,
Would you like to open public comment or?
I would like to open to public comment, thank you very
All
much.
right. So at this time, if you would like to speak on item 17A, that's 3 appointments to the Parks and Recreation and Community Resources Advisory Commission.
David Grayson, I'd like to request that we are certain that we will hear the 3 that each council member voted for. Thank you.
I believe it is not a secret ballot, so.
No.
Any other public comment? In place or in
If you are
Zoom?
joining via Zoom, now's the time to raise your virtual hand if you'd like to speak on item 17A. And Mayor, we do not have any virtual hands raised.
All right, then. So, shall we begin the voting?
There we go.
That's down.
I'm going to hit the straight.
Oh, just like.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me change mine. Scratch that out, put it up here.
All right, so for Ray Jackson, we have the following three applicants voted for. Thomas Maroney, Yanni Ling, and Isabel Rodriguez. For Mayor Pro Tem DeToy, we have the following: Thomas Maroney, Cami Herbert, and Yanni Ling. For Mayor Seaman, we have the following three: Thomas Maroney, Todd Toulis, and Elka Warner. From Councilmember Keegan, we have the following three: Thomas Maroney, Todd Toulis, and Elka Warner. And from Councilmember Francois, we have the following: Todd Toulis, Catherine Walden, and Elka Warner. So it appears we have three majority votes. We have 4 votes for Thomas Maroney, 3 votes for Todd Toulis, and 3 votes for Elka Warner. That concludes the voting for the Parks and Rec Commission.
And those are the 3 choices?
Yes.
Wow, it worked out.
1, 2, 3.
I think this is the first time since I've been here that we've completed it in one round with so many applicants.
Yeah.
So congratulations to the 3 that were appointed, and City Clerk's office will follow up with a letter letting them know what the next steps are.
Great, thank you. It always seems like it's like the Pope, right? For days and days, we keep waiting for the white smoke, and it never shows up.
I thought we were going to go around and around and around.
And now we had white smoke on the first try. That's wonderful. I want to just say, first of all, thank you very much to everyone who came and applied. It is such an honor to have you try to apply for a commission and to want to help our city government do the best thing for our city. To those 3 who won, thank you very much and congratulations. And we really appreciate your service, and we look forward to working with you in the future. To those of you who applied and did not make it, I wanted to say, please don't give up. Come back, try again. I managed to get on the Planning Commission after I tried 3 times to get on before I actually won and got on there. So it really doesn't matter how many times you get chosen or not chosen. Keep trying and keep doing it. If you're serious and you really want to help, keep it up. Put your helmet on, get in the game. It's a good thing. And I appreciate so much your attempt at doing this. Thank you very, very much, all of you. All right, let's move on then from municipal matters.
Item 17B, award of professional services agreements for on-call staff augmentation services to TransTech Engineers and Z&K Consultants.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk, Mayor, Council. So before you tonight is a award of contract, or 2 contracts for staff augmentation services. In general, the Public Works Department relies heavily on a variety of third-party consulting services to help us advance our capital improvement program, as well as other engineering support programs and services. We have a wide variety of on-call contracts. Many of them are either expiring or reaching their spending limit or don't quite provide the tools that are necessary for us to act quickly and expeditiously to advance our projects and programs. Overall, the on-call agreements are the most effective tool that we can have in our toolbox, as it gives us ability to task order work as it's needed. So there's no money that's committed to any of these contracts. It's really just spending authority. And usually any funding is tied to budgeted projects in our CIP or in the fiscal year budget. And so we can bring in services as needed to really act nimbly and expedite delivery in a number of different things. So there are 4 different areas that these contracts are looking to fill. Primary one, staff augmentation. Our human resources manager just earlier tonight talked about some of the vacancies we have. If we're down even 1 engineer in our department, it really does impact project delivery. And so this is one tool to possibly bring in those staff augmentation resources if we need to temporarily backfill any vacancies that we might have during those periods. Also bringing in specialty project management and program needs. This could be specialty project managers to help advance CIP, individual CIP projects depending on what the needs are, or other engineering support services. So for example, it could be something like plan check or other specialty work like grant assistance or permitting, expediting needs and things like that in support of our programs and services. The last one is construction engineering inspection. We have a number of projects where we need to bring in third-party inspectors. Some cases we have private utility companies where we have last-minute needs to bring an inspector to oversee their work, and often those costs are passed on to the third-party utility company to pay for those as-needed services. We released a request for qualifications in April. We received 11 statements of qualifications in May, and our team went through all of them and ranked the top consulting teams based on weighted selection criteria. The top 2 ranked firms are Trans-Tech Engineers and Z and K Consultants, which we are recommending award a contract to each one of the top 2 firms. So for consideration tonight is award of 2 contracts, each not to exceed $750,000. Once again, this is just a spending limit. There's no funding tied to these contracts. They would be 5-year terms with an option to extend for 1 additional year, and also seeking authorization for the mayor to execute these contracts. That concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Joe. Are there any questions of staff? Nope. Good job. Thank you. Let's open then I'll close the council part and open this to public comment. Madam City Clerk, do we have any in person or on Zoom?
Mayor, we do not have any speaker cards. If you're here to speak on this item, now is the time. Yes.
Oh.
Hi, my name is Pamela Manning. I'm with Trans-Tech, and so I'm very happy to say thank you. Glad there's no objection. We actually love doing work in Hermosa Beach. The fact that you just reduced your staffing from your deputy city manager means that your directors are going to have that much more work to do. And so that's where we come in as staff augmentation, is to help support Joe, help support the department to build better, do better for Hermosa Beach. And so we're so glad to have you as a client. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Okay, Madam City Clerk on Zoom?
Joining via Zoom, now is the time to raise your virtual hand. Mayor, we do not have any virtual hands raised.
Okay, going once, twice? All right, I'll close the public comment then and bring it back to council. Any council comments or deliberation, comments, motions?
I move to pass staff recommendations.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Madam City Clerk. Motion on the floor.
Voting is now open.
Could you announce the results, please?
Motion carries unanimously.
Great, thank you very much. Voting's closed, and now on to 17C.
Item 17C, a resolution to approve a memorandum of understanding between the City of Hermosa Beach and the Professional and Administrative Bargaining Group for the period of July 1, 2025 to June 30, 2028.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of council. Cindy Stafford from Human Resources. I'm here to present to you your first MOU to approve for fiscal years 26 through 28. Next slide, please. Just a little bit, through labor negotiations, the city strives to maintain competitive wages, hours, and working conditions in a high-cost geographical labor market, ensuring the ability to retain and attract a high-quality workforce that delivers a wide range of services to the community. Next slide, please. I'm not going to read this whole paragraph, but essentially, under the Myers-Milius-Brown Act, which is state of California legislation, cities and local public agencies are required to meet and confer with represented employee units over wages, hours, and terms of and conditions of employment. The council put a negotiating team together. I'm acting as the chief negotiator on behalf of the city of Hermosa. And with this particular bargaining unit, which expires on June 30th, 2025, we've been through the extensive meet and confer process. PAE, or the Professional Administrative Employee Group, and the Hermosa team met multiple times. We approved the agreement. They gave a tentative agreement in June, and the PAA membership ratified the MOU on June 18th, 2025. June 18th, 2025. So now it's being presented to you for formal approval. Next slide. This is a funny little picture of our PAA, this Halloween party, but we have 25 classifications and 30 employees. I'm not going to read it, but finance, admin, public works, management team, building officials, planners, analysts, and engineers are represented in this group. Next slide. So a little bit of background. The last MOU was approved on October 11, 2022 for the term July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2025. Council also adopted an amendment to the MOU, which we call a side letter, on September 10th, 2024. Making some, what I would call basic administrative changes, just fixing some language and accreting classes and that kind of stuff. Next slide. So here's the term and discussion of what's being presented to council for approval. July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028, which is a standard 3-year agreement with the union. The city is offering a 3% wage increase, 7/1/25, a 3% wage increase 7/1/26, and a 3% wage increase 7/1/27. In addition to that, the city did a very comprehensive compensation study, and there were some positions, not all the positions in the unit, but some positions that were identified as being below median, and those positions are going to be brought up to median based on the recommendations of the outside consultant who did the comp study. Our next article that we're recommending to make changes to, is to increase the deferred comp match from $25 to $50 a month. Next slide. Over the past several years, the union has asked multiple times that the city pay for its vision insurance. The city has held very firmly on trying to keep its health benefit costs down. So what we did offer is, if the city's going to go to market for its dental insurance, and if the city's dental premium for the insurance goes down by 20%, the city will offer employees and family vision insurance. It's about $20 a month for a family. Bilingual pay, currently the bilingual pay is 5% of median salary, which is high. So it's being reduced to $100 per month, and then we're moving the cap. There is a 10% premium pay for the public works superintendent. That pay is being deleted, and it's being built into the base. It's something that the person gets always, all the time, so it belongs to be in the base. And then a tiny increase of 10 hours a month for the management leave. Next slide. Just a few little articles. The city added something called an additional duties pay, which means when you take on additional duties, like because of vacancy, it's $400 a month. It compensates employees for performing extra duties, and right now that's currently not part of the MOU. We added a half day, which is 5 hours, for Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and then deleted what they called the holiday flex time of 10 hours, so it's a wash. There are a couple of what we call reopeners and a Me Too clause, because this is the first unit settling. They asked for, and we approved as negotiators, that if other units get higher increases or benefits, they would also get the same thing. Very, very common in labor agreements to do that. And next one. Okay, so the total cost for all 3 years is $511,000. They say approximately $511,000 and $511,587. But that's approximate. And it's being budgeted in the subsequent budget years. Next slide. So staff recommends that the City of Hermosa Council approve the resolution and successor memorandum of understanding between the City of Hermosa Beach and the Professional Administrative Employees Bargaining Unit for the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. Next slide. Oh, before I hand it off and I'm open to any questions, I need to give my most sincere thanks to the bargaining team from the PAE union. Fantastic. I don't want to count how many years I've worked in HR and how many cities I've worked for, and most unions are very good, and you guys are lucky because all of yours are good, but that team is great, absolutely great. So my special thanks to the bargaining, their team and their representative from CAA, Vicki Barker. They were great to work with. Now, this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Cindy, for your report. I really appreciate it. Are there any questions of staff regarding this item? Yes, Mr. Francois.
I just want to commend you for a great job you've done in making this happen. Kudos to you and your staff. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions of staff? Okay, I'll close the council portion of this and bring this to public comment. Madam City Clerk, are there any persons in person or in Zoom?
Mayor, we did not receive any speaker cards for this item. If you are joining via Zoom, now is the time to raise your virtual hand to comment on item 17C. And Mayor, we do not have any virtual hands raised.
All right, thank you. So I'll close the public comment and bring this back to council. Council comments and deliberations, motions, etc. Any comments, deliberations?
Motion approved, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Madam City Clerk, would you begin the voting?
Voting is now open.
And announce the results, please, Madam City Clerk.
Motion carries unanimously.
Great, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's move on to item 17D.
Item 17D, information on a request for closed session minutes from May 5, 2025, item 4B, and May 13, 2025, item 4B, be publicly disclosed.
All right, so there's a staff report. City Attorney?
There is. Mayor and Council, good evening. This item before you tonight is informational only, and I'll explain that more in a little bit. And you should all have a more detailed staff report. Well, you do have a more detailed staff report in the agenda, but I will touch on some of the points here for informational purposes. As you know, the Brown Act governs all of our council meetings and allows the council to meet in closed session for certain topics. If minutes of the closed session are kept, the Brown Act states that they shall be kept confidential, except in rare circumstances. But the Brown Act also allows confidential information received in closed session to be disclosed if the council authorizes disclosure. At the June 10th, well, I should go back a little bit, at the April 22nd, 2025 meeting, item 4B on the closed session was public employee performance evaluation of the then city manager. At the May 13th meeting, the city council placed the appointment of our now interim city manager on for closed session discussion. At the June 10th council meeting, Mayor Pro Tem DeToy moved to add an item to a future agenda for the council to discuss waiving confidentiality of the closed session minutes on those two items. Councilmember Jackson supported that, and under the city's rules and procedures, a vote of 2 is enough to get an item on a future agenda for informational purposes only. There were no other supporting votes. That's why we're here tonight, is so that I can give you information about whether and how minutes from a closed session may be disclosed upon a vote of the majority of the council. As I said, it is informational only. You don't even need to receive and file the information that I'm giving you or the agenda that's, or the staff report that's in the agenda. When I conclude my remarks, that will be it for tonight, unless there is a motion for relative to a future agenda. But that's it. And the last thing that I do need to mention is that in any discussion about the information that I'm giving you tonight, or about any potential motion for a future agenda item, we must be meticulous about not revealing the contents of those closed session minutes or any other confidential information that was obtained in closed session. So you will be severely limited in what you can talk about, short of a vote to reveal something, and that vote would have to take place at a future meeting. That concludes my presentation for informational purposes, and I'm available for questions.
Are there any questions of staff? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for this report, Mr. City Attorney. If you stated that the council can disclose information from closed session if it votes to do that, but you really are talking about just the minutes that can be disclosed. Is that correct?
Yes, the suggestion, not to put words in Mr. DeToy's mouth, but the suggestion at the June 10th meeting was to have an item tonight to discuss waiving confidentiality of the closed session minutes as to those two items, which coincidentally are both item 4B on the respective agendas.
And under the Brown Act, when we come out of closed session, there are certain information must be reported. Other than that, the council in closed session can decide what else it wants to report out. Is that correct?
Correct. The Brown Act requires reporting of certain actions. The council majority may direct the city attorney or the city manager to report out additional information that is not required to be reported.
Okay, thank you. And with regards to minutes, there is no requirement that we take minutes at closed session. If we wanted to change that policy, could we change that policy tonight under this agenda item? Or would we have to place it on a new agenda item for an open council meeting, or would it be a closed session item to change that policy if we wanted to stop taking minutes during closed session, which would then tend to avoid this circumstance from happening in the future?
I don't believe it would be appropriate for the council to make any decisions about whether or not to continue the practice of keeping closed session minutes tonight, because nothing has been indicated on the agenda that would tell the world that that's what you're going to do. I don't know if it would be a topic appropriate for closed session. It might be, but I'd have to look into that.
Or someone could suggest it tonight for a future agenda item.
Or someone could suggest it tonight for a future agenda item.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? Seeing none, move it to public comment. Madam City Clerk, are there any in person or Zoom?
We did not receive any speaker cards for this item. And we do not have any virtual hands raised either.
All right, I'll close, yes. Well, let me close public comment first. I'll close public comment then and bring it back to the council. Councilman DeToy.
Thank you, and just confirming what the city attorney said, he's not putting words in my mouth. I didn't bring this item up to start another conversation or, reveal thoughts from closed session, open session. While the Brown Act does protect the confidentiality of closed session deliberations, also requires public accountability when final actions are taken. I firmly believe in the confidentiality in the Brown Act is a serious issue and utmost important. It protects deliberative processes and negotiations while decisions are pending. However, confidentiality is not indefinite. Once final decisions are made, no longer subject to these conditions, the public has a right to know what action was taken, how each member or how each council member voted, and hypothetically, an item may be initially reported as having no reportable action because an agreement has not been executed by both parties. With the agreement finalized and executed, the legal and practical rationale for withholding information, I believe, no longer applies. So reporting out on these minutes just promotes transparency and fosters public trust. And failing to report out any minutes could lead to the opposite. So I'd be making a motion to just report out on these items, or these 2 minutes, two closed session minutes, put them on the consent calendar so no one has to pull it, but at least they're out there. Thank you.
So there's a motion, and is there a second?
There's a second, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. A motion is second, and would you repeat the motion again? It's to,
Just have the 2 closed session minutes for those 2 items listed with approval from the city attorney that there's nothing, confidential in those, and they can be redacted or whatever, but just the action minutes from those 2 meetings, those 2 items, and placing them on the consent calendar.
To clarify, if I may, Mr. DeToy, is your motion to put it on a future agenda
Yes.
for the council to take that action?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
all right, very good. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Madam City Clerk.
I'd like to make a comment, if I may, on the motion.
Okay.
I intend to not support that. I believe that it sets a bad precedent for releasing minutes. It chills members from being able to talk with candor in closed session about sensitive personnel issues and others. And it could potentially create liability for the city if we released these minutes. So I do not support that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll call the motion then.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. City Attorney, I don't believe that this issue presents a potential legal liability, does it? It is certainly within our right, as you have stated, to ask, and if there's a majority of this body, that minutes can be released. And we have a colleague who has stated that he is opposed to it because of potential legal concerns. I'm not aware of any legal concerns, particularly when, one of the individuals who's the subject of one of these has said that there is no objection to. So it's the minutes. It's who voted for what, and that was it. So
Great. Okay. Thank you for your comment.
I was just looking for an answer from the city attorney to clarify.
Sorry, yeah. If I may restate the question as I understand it, is it, you're asking me if disclosing the minutes for these 2 items would raise any particular legal risk for the city?
Yes.
I don't believe so, no. And the general principle is that the council may choose to disclose. However, as you know, certain topics that are discussed in closed session are not just protected by closed session confidentiality, but they're protected, for example, by state constitutional privacy rights.
Understand.
I don't believe that any
Those
of
don't apply in
those
this
rights
case.
are implicated here because of the status of the situation, and the nature of the minutes are so spare. They really just talk about what direction or a motion, a second, and a vote, and that's it. It doesn't get in, it's not a transcript
Right.
of the proceedings or anything beyond
Thank you for that clarification.
I just have
Very well
another,
then.
I just have
I'm
a
gonna
follow-up
call
question
I'm gonna
to
call
the city
motion.
attorney.
Excuse me.
I'm
me.
not in favor of calling the question just now.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's
We
8:30
have a
at night,
motion and a
we're-
second, and
well,
I'm
I'm
calling
not
the
in favor
question.
of calling the question.
Well, I appreciate that. We're going to
Okay.
do it anyway.
Then you're going to have to
Madam-
vote on calling the question. That's what you have to do, Robert's rules. You want to vote on calling the question, go for it. Otherwise, I'd like to just ask the city attorney a question, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Now, where were we? We discussed privately the details of what the minutes involved offline. We cannot discuss the details of those minutes tonight, but one of the motions had a series of elements to it. And is it true that if any council member believes that revealing that could result in any liability, then that council would vote against releasing the minutes? Is that true?
You could be justified in voting against it for that reason, if that's a reason that you hold.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Madam City Clerk, would you call the question, please?
And to clarify, the motion is to bring back a future agenda item to have the closed session minutes from May 5th, 2025, item 4B, and May 13, 2025, 4B publicly disclosed on the next consent calendar? I'm just a little confused.
The
about
action
that.
item
Madam
would-
Clerk, could we get clarification on the dates? I think, is it the May 5th meeting and the May 13th meeting? Because I might have that wrong in the staff report. I think I said April, the April meeting.
May 5th and 13th, I thought.
In the agenda, it says May 5th.
It says May 5th and May 13th.
I
right
believe
here.
it's correct on the agenda heading, and I might have just, I need to double check the staff report. It might have been April in there. But I believe your intent was focused on items 4B in the May 5th, which is when the performance evaluation happened, and the May 13th, which is where the appointment of the interim happened. Can you confirm that, please?
Affirmative.
Okay, thank you.
And the action item to release them, just place it on consent. I don't need a big report for it,
Okay.
if there's enough votes for it.
Voting is now open.
Madam City Clerk, would you announce the results, please?
Motion fails with Mayor Seaman, Councilmember Keegan, and Councilmember Francois voting no.
Thank you. Let's move on to item
Also,
8.
Mr. Mayor, before we move on, I'd like to make a motion for a future agenda item to the possibility of eliminating minutes in closed session.
Excuse me. When we get to future agenda items, so it'd be just another moment.
Okay, I'll take care of it then. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 18 would be future agenda items. And I would like to, first of all, propose I'm seeking support to put the public swimming pool project on the Parks and Recreation Commission agenda for their earliest convenient time to begin a discussion about the pool. Simply a discussion to put it on their agenda. No? No support for that?
Can I
Excuse
get
me.
clarification on what has been tasked with Parks and Rec coming out of the Parks Master Plan? Because it sounded, we heard public comments tonight of, there's already things, I don't know if is a dog park part of Parks and Rec Committee?
Yes.
Is the pool part of, like, are they already looking at these items? Clark Field?
I'm not aware of that, and I'm looking to the, I'm not aware of this, but I'm looking to the city attorney, because do we need this as a future agenda item, or can't
No.
council give direction to?
Pardon me, I'm asking to put it on the Parks and Rec agenda.
Okay, that's why I wanted.
And first of all, the dog park is already on their agenda. By the same motion, we had a future agenda item on this commission council, and we voted to put it on their agenda on a convenient time. I'd like to do the same thing with the pool, to put it on the Parks and Rec agenda, not ours.
Understood.
At their earliest convenience. So it was part of the Parks Master Plan, both items, of course, were approved by the public to be part of what we want to do, so.
Right, I'm just not aware yet of what the priority is in that Parks Master Plan, of what the schedule would be to bring that back, but if you're directing it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying any priority to it. I realize I don't expect anything to happen immediately, and I know they have a busy schedule, so it would be just on a future agenda item for them.
Understood.
Not us, yeah, which is what I'm looking for support for. Does that clarify what you wanted to know?
Is your item that you want to bring to them include joint use possibilities with other cities, et cetera, or is it
No.
shovel in the ground?
All
and
aspects of a swimming pool.
So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be within our 1.4 square miles. It could be joint use
Not
with other
necessarily.
cities.
That's up to the Parks and Rec Commission
And I will support that.
to open that discussion, search out the ideas, what can happen, what can't happen, and hopefully include the work that's already been done by this group, public group, but certainly not limit it to, no, we have to have a pool in the city of Hermosa Beach. No.
I think typically during future agenda items, we can make referrals to Parks and Rec's Commission. It's not necessarily adding it to an agenda, but referring and creating a referral to the commission to look at pool costs, cost savings, cost sharing, bond, the whole, it's a whole massive things that they're going to have to look at before it ever comes to us, so.
Mayor and council, if I may, just,
This item.
just to help clarify the procedural aspect of this, I know generally this future agenda items section of the agenda is where you talk about putting things on a future council agenda.
Yes,
And
correct.
you've got this unique rule about 2 votes makes informational, 3 votes makes an action. I think here where we're starting to talk about putting things on a commission or committee's agenda, you should probably proceed with 3 votes.
Well, what I'm.
Because
Wouldn't it
2
be
votes
just a
doesn't make a lot of
direction? It would
sense.
be more of a direction for the commission
Or
to
a-
take a look
excuse me.
at, not place it on the
Yes,
agenda.
but the council acts to give direction through 3.
I'm seeking support for 3.
Beautiful. I just wanted to
Which is
clarify
the same
that.
procedure we used with the dog park of just a month or so ago.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking.
I just
for.
wanted to avoid the weirdness of only having 2, because it wouldn't make a lot of sense there.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'm seeking support.
I'm with you, sir.
There's 1. Anyone else?
Well, you got Mike already.
And
Already got
You're
mine.
into? Okay, so there you have 3.
Yeah, I just think that it would be better to give more direction than just that to the commission to work on, but
Thank you.
Mr. City Attorney, if you think we are not able to discuss that, I thought we could when we give direction to it.
I think the motion and the, well, should you take a vote if you want to make it more formal?
No, there's no reason to do that. I
It
think
was
all
just
we're
for
looking-
them to go and talk about a pool solution. That's how I heard
That's
it.
right. Yeah, that's all we're looking for. Okay, are there any other future agenda items? What? Sorry. Egan.
I'd like to make a motion to bring back to direct staff to bring back a parking district rule changes on our current parking plan based on complaints and on community response to our changes, and bring that back in a report for us to make changes if possible. I'm looking for a second on that.
Question of clarity here. Are you talking about changing the rules now? Or
No,
waiting- or to-
no.
waiting in October?
They're going to come back with suggested changes.
We're doing that in October.
I'd like to make it an action item.
Now,
Correct.
we're on a future agenda item.
I'd like to get 3 votes to make it an action item if I get them.
To clarify, are you looking to convert the October item from informational to action?
Yes.
Is
No,
it already an action item in
In
October?
October, we are going to come back to review the entire parking permit
Yes,
program
and I think there were-
make changes then. That's already been done.
There were 3 votes for that.
So
It will come back in October as an
This is
October.
separate. Then this is separate item to bring back, to make changes to the parking rules so they can be implemented sooner. So I'd like to bring it back to do, have staff bring back suggestions that we can get done sooner or more immediately.
Okay, so you're looking for 3 votes to just move that action item up
Not that
in the
action item,
calendar?
just-
Or a more limited action item up in the calendar. Got it. Thank you.
I guess if you could get specific about something specific you want to create an action item on, it might be considered to
Well, if we
move it
go
up
in-
sooner, but to make
Right,
it general,
to-
it sounds
to-
like
to-
what we're doing in October.
True, but
If you wanna
if
come
I
up-
if I
because
make it,
I
if I
remember
make
I
it
made the motion
specific.
and got
if
no
it-
support
If
on
we
it
make it
before.
specific, then we can only vote on those items only. I'm looking for staff to come back with it, not myself.
It sounds like the request, though, is to take the September, October action item and move that up. Is that the intention?
I don't
Because-
want to study the whole program, no. Just, can we make some adjustments now, this summer, not next fall or next year?
Well, I'll request an action item that we just add 1 more permit to every residence in the parking plan. Would you go along with that? And I'll request that as an action item we can take care of ahead of time.
I'll second that.
Come on. Is there any support for the original proposition?
Didn't sound like it.
Okay, that fails.
So we have two on this for our fourth pass.
Councilmember Francois, do you have any future agenda items you would like to add?
Is there, yeah,
There was no support.
well, there's two,
Oh, there
so
was
is that
two.
being brought back
Oh,
as an
I'm
informational
sorry.
item under the
Beg your pardon.
rules?
It's an information item,
Sure.
not an action item.
Okay.
I apologize, I didn't realize that you were in that sport. Okay. Any future agenda items? Councilmember Detoy.
Just have a question for the city manager. The status on Parks and Rec, starting to have conversations with the Little League regarding Clark Field improvements. Are those already in the process, or should we also do something similar to the pool, seek support?
I'd appreciate that, Mayor Pro Tem. I did speak to the representative for the Project Little League to improve the dugout, the stands and dugout areas at Clark Field. And we've already talked about with the Public Works Director and with the Community Services Director, putting those on the respective agendas for the Parks and Rec Commission and for the Public Works Commission.
So no action tonight.
Because they were still a little fuzzy on what the total outcome is going to be. So they'll vet it through the commissions and bring it back to council on a future date.
Thank you. I'm done, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other future agenda items?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm seeking support to direct the Parsons, we're on a Parks and Rec role, in possible collaboration with Public Works Commission to conduct a detailed review of the property at Clark Field where lawn bowling is currently operated. This review should address the property's history as well as the operational, maintenance, membership, and legal considerations relevant to its current use and management.
I'll
And
second
this is-
that.
This is for Parks and Rec and Public?
If needed, collaboration with Public Works, because there's a Public Works component to that as well.
I'll second that.
Okay, that's two.
I'll support that as well.
So just the one commission's working on it, then, Parks and Recs, correct? Is
No.
that how you and?
Parks and Rec, and as I said, in collaboration with Public Works.
And the purpose of this, just out of clarity, is to evaluate whether we want to continue having lawn bowling?
No,
Or we wanna change the dates we wanna
there are a
do?
lot of questions about the lawn bowling facility in terms of management and membership and maintenance and all types of questions that a lot of people have asked. So I think it's a good opportunity to flesh out the who's who in the zoo and who's responsible for what, and what legal impediments or what legal restraints or constraints exist with regard to that property.
Okay, well, you already have three, that's good, I'll also
Can
support it.
we
but-
clarify who the three are? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, we might have four. One, two, three.
Well, hold on.
Mr.
have
Jackson,
three.
Mr. Jackson, Mr. DeToy, Mr. Keegan.
That's right. And
Okay.
I said, you already have three, but if it makes any
Okay.
sense, I'll go for it, but it's not.
No, that's fine. What we were just trying to figure out here is to implement your suggestion, Mr. Jackson. Are you asking for it to be put on the Parks and Rec Commission's agenda and possibly also on the Public Works Commission agenda?
I figure the smart people at city staff can figure out how to best skin that cat. I mean,
Okay.
there's a Public Works component to
Yes.
that. So if it requires joint collaboration, then I'll leave it up to those two bodies, I think.
I'd like to also recommend or suggest that it be sent to legal first so that we can understand whatever.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, there's obviously a legal component to it all. You
And-
guys can figure that out.
Okay, and then
So-
with those parameters, we'll be able to take it to the commissions and they'll be able to know what they can work within.
Yes.
Okay, we'll work that out. on our
Thank you.
Okay, so we have three for an action item. Thank you, sir. Anything else? Councilman Francois.
Thank you. We recently received an email from a concerned citizen, and I share the concern of increased number and sizes of advertising on the lifeguard towers, and there's a permit listed in front of the Coastal Commission, application number 02009A1 for a matter-of-fact approval. So the signs have already put up. This is a matter-of-fact approval. Since we do have a coastal commissioner on this council, I think it's imperative that this city council take a position in opposing this application for a matter-of-fact approval for an increased number and larger signs on our lifeguard towers to minimize the commercialization of our beaches. Yeah, future agenda item.
Support
In
that.
fact, probably the next one, because that could be at the August South Coast Commission meeting, from the writer of the email suggesting it might be in August, so I'd like to see it at the next agenda item.
Other than the component of taking a position against it, I would support the idea of looking into this situation, finding out what the heck's going on with it.
Oh, yeah.
And then having a discussion about it.
Sure.
So I will support that.
Okay.
Not so much taking a position against it. Let's find out what it is first and then talk about that.
Your Honor, I've also made contact with LA County because it's their program that we're talking about. And there is language in the 1997 agreement that I looked at for the beach maintenance that could be limiting on this advertising, at least as it pertains to Hermosa Beach. And so I've got that email into the chief and his assistant now. We're waiting for that response. That in no way takes away from taking a position against it at the Coast Commission, but I just want you to know that we're already made contact with the county about this and are trying to get some clarification from them.
Did you say that there is an element in their contract that may be eliminating
The beach maintenance contract limits the advertising to sponsorships. So in the past, if you recall, there used to be tide boards that tells you what the temperature of the water is, and it was sponsored by Arrowhead. Okay, so you had an Arrowhead symbol up there, but the primary purpose of it was the tide board to inform the public. What you see out there now is pure advertising.
Right.
And under the language of the agreement, it's not supposed to have direct solicitation. And so I don't know, arguably that is direct solicitation. It doesn't list what the prices of things are and things like that, but it does have nothing else to do except to have the advertising on there. It doesn't have, it's not part of something else.
But we've seen advertising signs there last year and the year before. So if there's been a violation, it's been going on for years.
That I don't know.
So, even more support to tackle this application number and get a position on it. Thank you. Yeah.
Stop auditioning, you got the job.
Well, I want to
I
make
would
sure
support
that,
it.
I want
I
to make sure
understand.
that that's part of the
I get
agenda
it.
item.
I would
not just
like to
discussing
support the
this.
discussion. And Councilman Keegan, are you in support of this also?
I wanted to make a comment to the whole idea. Just keep in mind that we're renegotiating that agreement in 2 years. And do you really want to poke the bear and tell them they can't advertise just before we go into
I want to
negotiation?
talk about it.
They already can't.
They're already
They're
doing
already
it.
in violation the last 2
No,
years, apparently.
right, and so
So,
I'm just saying we have to be more sensitive about content.
That's
Please.
separate than this application that I think the
Can
city
I have some
council
order,
should
please?
take in a position
May I have
on.
order, please?
I just wanted to point out that we've got to tread very lightly.
I'm
Red
sorry,
light.
are you in favor or not in favor of this?
I'm not that.
And you are. Okay, so there's three. We have three for an action item.
Thank you.
All right. Assuming that there is no other future agenda items.
Oh,
to
yes, I do
discuss.
have another one.
Oh, thank you, Lord. Okay.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, thank you, Lord. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I got all night.
I have a question regarding the potential special meeting that's being planned for July 29th, I believe.
Yes.
Joint meeting with the Public Works Commission and the City Council on deciding whether to go to bid or bid design. And I'm just wondering, I don't ever recall this City Council requesting that we have a joint commission and City Council meeting regarding that. Is there some way to make this move quicker and smoother without having a special joint meeting with another commission to make decisions on the bid and bid design element?
To make it happen earlier?
Or just have it as a regular agenda item on the council, or have the commission meet on it first before we do and come up with a recommendation to us?
It was looked at a couple different times, and there was direction from council, was found to be direction from council to have the joint meeting with the Public Works Commission.
Schedule a
That
joint,
was done recently?
Yes, that was, I believe it was May 13th meeting. I don't see Ann here, but she verified it, and that's why she sent out the emails asking for scheduling purposes. Now, you can change your mind and not have a, but the July 22nd meeting is going to be pretty full, so I don't know that there will be time to dive in, and certainly with the Public Works Commission, that could be an hour-long discussion.
yeah, well, I mean, they can go off to August. I just, in my opinion, I don't think we need to have a special joint. That's a matter of joint commission, council. I really am doubting whether we need to have a special meeting like that, but.
I understand that four of your colleagues have agreed to that scheduling, though, so if three people want to change that, that's certainly
Okay.
a possibility.
You want to propose that as a future agenda item?
I thought we could just, if three of us don't want to do it tonight, we can agree to it, or do we have to, we don't need that as a future agenda item? do
I
we?
don't think so, no. I'll defer to the.
This item, this time on the agenda is to discuss future agenda items. If you want to have a conversation and make a decision now about pulling something off of a future agenda, I think you could do that.
Well, I'll move pulling it off. I'll move to end this special joint meeting and have it part of regular business.
Yeah, it was the May 13th CIP study session. I was just forwarded the video. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem DeToy requesting a joint study session with Public Works Commission to examine financing options and construction options for the city yard. Seconded by Mayor Seaman, and the vote was unanimous.
Well, makes it pretty clear.
Okay, study sessions, we don't typically make motions on, they're study session only, so, anyway.
All right.
I'm making that suggestion now. If there's two others that agree with me, we can end it now, otherwise.
Any
we're
other
gonna
support?
So you're moving to cancel that?
Yes.
Okay. Are there two other votes?
Support? Oh, all right.
I would also say, if you want to reschedule it from the 29th, we can. Staff is hoping to get direction at this at some point, though, so we can move forward.
All right. Well, I think that concludes our business tonight, and if there are no other future agenda items.
Can I make a
Was there no
short
action
comment?
regarding that? Okay.
Yes.
Just want to confirm.
I wanted to close the meeting in honor of Judy Garland, a longtime resident who passed away this past week. She used to work at the Stars Market and had a booth there for many years. She used to write letters to the paper and for many, many years, and was over a 40-year resident. And she recently passed away this past week. So I just wanted to close the meeting, if you would close the meeting in her honor, Mayor.
I would be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to close this meeting in honor of Judy Garland, and meeting is closed as of 9:57. 8:57. Thank you.